Hello? Okay. Just waiting for Bob to sit down, but we'll go ahead and get started in the interest of being on time. All right, guys, welcome to the budget meeting for, it's Monday, March 9th, 2026. I keep thinking it's 2027. It's not. Just want to start by thanking Helene and Matt for bringing us to this really great starting point for the budget. They've done a lot to prepare the last several weeks to get us here. Just a couple reminders about the budget process. There is, and this is for those at home, there is a portal online on our town website through ClearGov, which helps you, it's a really good resource to be able to play around and see an overview of where your tax dollars are going, insight into fund balances, and a broader snapshot into our current financial picture. I also want to remind everyone these workshops are being recorded, so anyone who's unable to attend can come back and watch these from home. And we'll also be doing the FAQ the same way we did last year, where Helene will have those posted the day after or a day or two after our meetings and continue to compile that list. Everyone should have received their binders on Friday. And today we'll start from the top and work through after Matt and Helene kind of give us an overview of where we're at. And as another reminder, next budget meeting is March 16th at 5 p.m., March 23rd at 5 p.m., March 30th at 5 p.m., April 6th at 5 p.m., April 13th at 5 p.m., and April 27th at 5 p.m. And following that, we'll vote on the budget. And that's it for now. And I'll hand it over to Matt and Helene.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Budget FY27, Day 1. So we're grateful to have you here this evening to get things started. I want to start off by just saying that, I want to thank Helene and thank all of our department heads for the hard work that they did to get the budget to where we are at right now. We are really proud to bring this one forward this year, and we're trying to, we know this is a challenging year, as they all are. But there are a number of elements in play that we tried to be mindful of as we went into crafting this year's budget. We're looking to have this year's budget reflect our continued commitment to responsible fiscal management, transparent government operations, and delivery of high-quality services to our residents. This year's budget represents a net increase of 3% over the prior fiscal year, which was kind of our goal, and we're happy to start out of the blocks at that point. But we're looking to also find a level of growth that balances our operational needs with the sensible stewardship of taxpayer resources. I really am grateful for the efforts of our town departments and department heads in crafting this budget, and again, the hard work of Helene in the completion of this budget. Some highlights that we have there on the revenue side of it. Our revenues for this year's budget have looked to increase by $589,000, which is about a 6.9% overall increase. This will help offset the burden of the tax rate and the expenditures from year over year while still supporting our operations and community services. Some larger areas that we saw growth in was specific to revenue sharing. At $365K, rescue billing with an increase of $20,000. Pay-as-you-throw trash bag program, which is, we were kind of concerned about that heading into the current fiscal year, but that's been tracking and it's been healthy, with, I could say, the mindful purchasing by residents to help support that program. So that we do see a small increase in that. Valhalla Golf Course has also shown an increase in revenues, and Recreation Department has shown revenues as revenue increase as programming has expanded. So those are some highlights from that side. On the expenditure summary side of it, we are looking at an increase of expenses by $778K or 4.9%, which many of that reflects contractual obligations that we had, and as well as service level enhancements, insurance cost increases, and the cost of waste management and disposal. Those are our largest areas of increase. Under personnel-related adjustments, we're looking at a 4% cost of living increase for on labor, 15% increase in health insurance premiums. That's what we've booked at. Last year, if you might remember, we went out to market and we had a 3% decrease last year. This year, we're booking, they gave us a range between 10 to 15% that we anticipate for an increase in our health insurance premiums. So we booked it at 15 just in case, and would be, and obviously if we come through and it comes in less than that, we can update that, or we can also, if we don't expend over that line or as much as that line has in it, then that'll go to general fund at the end of next year's fiscal year. I have heard, anecdotally, speaking with friends in private sector, as recently as this weekend, different companies and the rates that they're looking at for increases this year, and my friend's company is looking at 25% increase year over year on their health insurance premiums. They're not on the Affordable Care Act plan, but I think what we're running into on a lot of these on the health side is a lot of companies are increasing their premiums dramatically and taking advantage of the opportunity to do that due to that gap from what's going on there nationally. But that's just one person's perspective. There's also a slight increase in dental insurance, and much of that is borne by the employees. There's also an 8% increase in long-term care insurance, which covers people who we have now going backwards, but going forward, we're not providing that coverage anymore. And you may or may not remember that from our update of the personnel policy, but that was a decision made by our provider. We also looked at that as the long term. This wasn't going to be financially feasible to maintain. So we'll maintain the grandfathered folks in, but beyond that, we won't be having that expense any further. There's also a 5% increase in vision insurance. So then on public safety, we're looking at on fire department staffing improvements that we're doing to support the goal of maintaining transition. Right now we have 2 shifts that have 3 people on and 2 that have 2 people on, and we're looking to go to all shifts with 3 people on. But how we're paying for that is reallocating funds from the converting the deputy fire chief's salary from last year's budget into a full-time firefighter paramedic, and then we're looking to also bring on an additional full-time firefighter paramedic, but fund that position by 60% by general fund and 40% by TIF, and we'd start that position halfway through the fiscal year. So to try to, basically it gives us time to staff the positions that are open, and then when we get to the new position, then we'll have time to get to that, but we want to get up to full strength first. And then on county dispatch, as Councilor Vail may remember from his term on the County Budget Advisory Committee, they're looking at a 6% increase in Cumberland's share of the regional dispatch services for police and fire. It's been 3% historically per our contract. However, it's been a loss leader for the county by about $1 million gap between what it actually costs them to run it and what we pay, or all the different towns that use dispatch pay. So they've passed an increase onto us this year of 6%, so that's within the budget. On Public Works and Parks, we're looking at 2 full-time positions going into there, one for Public Works and one for the Parks Department, to increase the operational demands and community expectations. So it'll help us with some coverage that we have there, and our folks are fairly stretched thin. So this will help us provide that coverage that we need. So that will work. On waste disposal, we're looking at a $58,000 increase this year, and that change is due specifically to, or in a small portion due to the cost for municipal solid waste or our household waste of an increase on that rate, but the lion's share of that is due to EcoMaine has changed the rate that they charge for for recycling to the same rate as what there is for household waste. That's part of a approach that they're taking, because there's this extended producer recycling that is coming online, and companies are paying a certain amount of money due to the packaging that they provide. And there's similar to like a bottle bill, there's a nickel per can or a nickel per bottle, things like that. They have a similar product like that going forward in the waste industry. But they start collecting those funds, but they're not going to start distributing them until October of '27. So it won't impact this year's fiscal year. So what we have this year is a bit of a challenge, because we get the expense, but we won't have the revenue. But we'll see that book in the next fiscal year. So we're kind of in that transition period right now, but that is the lion's share of the change that we found in waste disposal. Ultimately, what we're looking to accomplish with our budget this year is to maintain our longstanding priorities, which is high-quality services, practical financial management, and strategic investments in our infrastructure and workforce. And there is a lot of upward pressure on insurance and service costs, but looking to support our essential operations without compromising long-term financial stability. So we're looking forward to going through the overall budget with you over the next few weeks, and looking forward to that challenge as well as the opportunities to do better at what we do. So that being said, I'll step out of the way and work with our good friend, Ms. Helene DiBartolomeo, to get us started on the budget process.
Okay. Good evening.
Hello.
So the first thing I wanted to actually point out is before we get into the individual ones, I did you'll see that the format of this is very different. This is because we used ClearGov this time. I will have this posted on our website tomorrow. I couldn't today because our communications director was out sick today, so I apologize for that for the public. I did want to preface that before you get to the first tab, which is 130, there is a summary of the departments the old-fashioned way, which is by department in total. But we're going to go ahead and go through each one individually as in detail. But I just wanted to point that out. Also, in the back of that section, after you get through your demographics, there is some additional information in there that I think is pretty informative. One of the things that we do when we look at the budget is we look at it by category, and you'll see that there is a section here that shows that our wages and summaries and benefits is actually a category. And when you look at it in total of our expenditures of what Town Manager Sturgis just responded with our increase being 778,000, 626,000 is wages, salaries, and benefits, just to let you know, which is 80% of the total increase in the budget, which leaves the remainder being 151,000 is other miscellaneous things. I just wanted to point that out before we go into the detail on each of these. So we can go ahead and start with our first department if we have if we don't have any questions about the budget in general.
Are there any questions before we jump into departments? No? Awesome. All right, let's start with 130 then.
So 130 is admin and finance. The biggest adjustments that we made here was you'll see that even though we did a 4% across the board, we did have to make some adjustment on wages. This was due to, and this is the beauty of now being in ClearGov, using the spreadsheets, the Excel spreadsheets in the past, there was a mismatch of the allocation of employees breakout between the different funds versus what was actually being done in the system through payroll. So this is to correct that, so that 12% is not that people are getting more than a 4% increase. It's to correct what the budget should have been, which means that our budget for 26 is going to be slightly low in comparison to what we actually charge to it. The other pieces in here would be the increase that we just discussed about the health insurance, making adjustments to that. There was a reorg of the finance department during the year after we had already adopted the FY26 budget. So that's why you see some, the health insurance is not quite 15%, but 5%, because we're adjusting it based on our current now staff using insurance or not using insurance. The other big adjustment we made was we also eliminated the contracted services. So that was something that we were doing externally. We were doing HR externally. We've done a reorg internally with the couple of staff members, and now that's being managed in-house now.
Can I ask a quick question about health insurance? So I know there's been kind of general marketplace increases over the year, like last 2 or 3 years has been pretty significant. what of the cost is being put back on the employee versus the town? Like, how are we dictating what that formula is for the cost of that?
So the personnel ordinance,
Yeah.
it's very specific. It says that the town will cover a certain percentage of a specific plan
Okay.
that we offer. And then so we determine what that is based on year to year, based on whatever the increase is.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Is there any other questions about 130? Sorry, I have one more question. What is the majority of the postage, the $18,000 in postage for?
That's actually for the whole town hall.
Okay.
We tend to use a lot of it for tax bills.
Is there a way we can't get away from that?
What do you
You
mean?
want to start stealing stamps?
No, I'm just saying like
The only way is if you
opt for a digital copy, like the
Be-
bank.
The system that does the opt-out, there is no way to, I have to either create all the bills or not create all the bills. So
Okay.
there's not a way to eliminate people from getting a bill.
Okay.
Yes, if you figure twice a year, 4,500 or so parcels, dollar per, or actually it's more than that, per, or right in that range, dollar per, so there's half of
Yeah.
it right there for twice a year. I will say the success rate of mailing the bills is high, as we are currently in excess of 99% on collection rate when it comes to property taxes. So there is no legal mandate that says you have to send a tax bill, but I will say it does improve upon collection.
Okay. All right. Any other questions about this area? Give everybody a second to digest it.
I just have one question. There's a $36,000 decrease under contracted services, and not that I'm complaining about a decrease, but I'd like to just understand what's behind it.
That's, and I think you
I might
just
have
missed it.
stepped
Yeah, I
out.
think you were just out for a second. It's related to a reorganization that we did on HR. So we were contracting outside for human resources assistance. And by reorganizing in-house and allocating those roles to different staff members, we found that we didn't need to have that line anymore.
Cool.
Yes, sir.
Great. All right, if no other questions, we'll move on to 140 assessing.
So the assessing's discretionary budget did not change. It was all basically due to the increases for the COLA and the insurance and making that adjustment. He did do a couple of slight adjustments to just narrow in on, am I on the right one? Sorry. Just make sure. Oh, I went too far. Skipped right over him. There we go.
Page 28.
So, yes. So with the assessor, the majority of the adjustment was for the salary and benefits, and just tweaking a little bit of what was needed for other items on his discretionary. As you can see, the total increase was $4,653.
So, Helene, the travel expenses historically has been around, 500 to 600. It's up to 16, up by $1,000 this year. What's the reason for that?
It's actually happening across the board. What's happening is we're finding that the state is not providing as much free training as they have in the past, which is requiring these professionals to go into to trainings that require that have a cost associated with it.
So it's the state's fault.
We're probably going to get into this later, and hopefully it's not going to stay for long, but I think everyone's probably seen the increase in gas prices over the past couple of days. And I know we're gonna see that more substantially in other departments, but just out of curiosity, like if we started just to kind of factor that in, or are we just, I imagine we're not just pulling the wool over our eyes and thinking it's gonna be really short-lived, right?
Chris, do you want to talk about fuel expense?
We could also table it.
No, it's great,
No,
great
but it's
opportunity.
like it's gonna hit everything,
Yeah.
isn't it? Like it's freaking. I saw 4.50 yesterday, and it's a lot per gallon of gas.
You
No,
can catch me riding my bike.
sorry, am I the only one who thinks this is insane?
I do.
Okay,
Nope.
anyway.
You get a lot of company.
In the past, I usually take a 3-year average of what we paid for fuel and then spread it out, and that's how I come up with what our figure is and the use of gallons over 3 years. Of course, the budget was completed before any of this took place, and I think in the past, when we've had issues like this, we've discussed putting something into a contingency
Okay.
to use if we needed to.
Okay.
And the pricing that, I know the pricing that Chris uses was greater than what you saw at the retail level, just
Okay.
to plan ahead for that. So there is a little bit of a gap between, let's say, rack rate and what,
Okay.
and what we budget for. So we try to hit that spot just in case there are fluctuations that,
Okay.
like this one.
Unforeseen fluctuations.
Yep.
Thank you.
I had one other question. The GIS mapping, is that correlating with the comp plan, or what's calling for that expenditure?
That would be our annual, like the tax maps and the map changes that need to take place within that, to push our maps out online, and that annual maintenance that does take place with that. So it does cost money to get those changes in place. So anytime there's a parcel that's split, or if there's a lot line adjustment that takes place, so it kind of takes care of the professional services for the expense for that, as well as the production of the maps that the public uses and the
Okay.
assessor uses.
Is that sort of taking the planning, the planning tab is also the GIS side of things. This is sort of just the guess on the assessor's
His,
portion of that, as opposed to they're not two separate things that we're
Right.
having
Yeah, they-
one company do one and one company do the other kind of thing.
yeah, they work hand in hand, so it's more of his allocation to the overall expense.
Okay.
Question. For, in the maps budget, does that include maintenance on the actual printer? Is that in a different location, like under equipment or something? Because I'm guessing there's like,
Yeah, it's in a
Okay.
different location.
This is just for the service for him for parcel information. As you
Okay.
can see, going across,
As of March
we don't
2nd.
necessarily expect to use it all the time, obviously, so he has to go ahead and budget for it, anticipating that he might need the service.
okay. One more question. I see a handful of different stipends kind of itemized out, but then there's just a general stipend line. What does that cover? Since it's not travel or phone.
So for the assessor, that would be travel and the phone.
Are these two broken out below that? And
Yes,
it's just, I
that's
can't
what that
see the
is.
indent? Okay, cool. Makes sense. Thank you. How do I see? It's all like this.
I know we briefly chatted about this last year, but training, has there been any more dialogue? I know there's been a little bit of an internal reorg relating to kind of HR and some of that stuff. But if there's opportunity or has been opportunity to have a dialogue about like what training is required versus what training is, kind of, what is it called? Extracurricular. Just almost thinking about, is there a cap we can put on things like, trying to boost employee morale by giving opportunity, but also being cognizant of like the taxpayer? Has there been any dialogue about that?
Yeah, I think we do, like, when we can do like larger group training, we do
Yeah.
that internally. Some of that is like your annual mandatories, sexual harassment training,
Yep.
bloodborne pathogens, things along those
Yeah.
lines that we're supposed to do on an annual basis. So we'll do that as a larger group for the whole operation. Where others, like the training that, like, say, the assessor needs, he has to maintain, I think it's 14 hours per year that he needs to have to maintain his certified main assessor's certification. So he does So there may be specific training there that he'll do, either IAAO training or main chapter of assessors, or,
Okay.
and then Bridget has some that may be specific to her area. If we can find the most cost-effective, we will for sure. Like, a lot of CLINS training will take place within the state. They've just been growing, the cost on that's gone up because the cost of instructors, I think, has been kind of sliding into what they do. Bridget, for instance, she's part of the, like the Planners Association, so she'll do some of hers. Chief Rumsey will travel for his
Yeah.
main chiefs, or I think it's International Association of Chiefs of Police that he has as well. So some of them are, when it's specific and small tailored, you'll find that in here, and then larger organization training, we'll have that mostly in our HR component now, that we try to find savings there.
Okay. Any other questions on 140? Thoughts?
So you asked the one that I was going to ask.
Okay. One other thing, as it's top of mind, when we get to police, or not police, but fire, is just out of curiosity, if we move into a regionalized model in the next few years, what would that mean? This is a conversation for another day, but what would that mean for, like, payroll? Would that all roll through accounting still here, or would that be somewhere else? Just something to think about. Okay. 150, tax collector. AKA the town clerk.
Yes. Again here, the majority of the adjustments done for the clerk's office was to make adjustments to salary and benefits. And then she looked overall at some of her other items and made some reductions based on her historical usage.
So on that, the health insurance, that's up by 25%. Is that just to make up for the other one that was at 5, and, you know, we average out at 15, or?
Yeah, so year to year, like every July 1, we have open enrollment. So an employee may have had insurance outside the town, which then it really doesn't cost the town much at all. And then they might lose that coverage and then decide they want to have a family plan. And then that will have to include that. So that this is making sure that this is adjusted based on what currently is going on. So when I make the budget, it's before open enrollment, so I'm not sure where people are going to land as far as where they're going to elect for health insurance.
Makes sense.
So this is sort of the top of what that would be, and the potential that could be, you know, that 18K, almost 19K,
This is
could be down based on what happens in, you know, open enrollment season.
right. This is based on the current elections of the clerks currently that are taking health insurance, and what that would be at 15% over last year's number of who was enrolled in what. So in '26, if you had one clerk who wasn't taking health insurance, and then on July 1 took health insurance, but I did the budget based on them not taking insurance, this is now showing them taking insurance, then including the 15% increase that we're expecting for '27.
So we get the 15% plus them adding in,
Collecting
which
the insurance.
pushes it up to the 25%.
Correct.
Right, okay, thank you.
I have a probably stupid question. Who pays for election expenses? Like, who pays for the paper for the ballots, like all of that?
The town does.
The
The
town.
town does.
Yep, yeah, it's all part of the clerk's budget.
And that's
elections.
for all elections.
And we do bill out and invoice, the town clerk invoices the school for their portion.
Okay, thanks.
And then the other item for council to remember is the clerk's department in last year's fiscal year budget, or the one we're currently in, dropped one full-time employee as well. So that's why you saw that we had a pretty good drop last year off their budget. So now it's kind of, you know, they right-sized it, I guess. So But yeah, the insurance question is always a challenge, because if you have someone come on, and there's another budget, I think the PD also has that side of it as well, where if you're hiring a new employee, you need to hire, or you need to budget for full family coverage on that in case they opt for that, and then you adjust it accordingly throughout the course of the year if they do not use it.
Go ahead.
Look, we've been through like 3 departments here, and each one of them has a line for office supplies, and I know I'm splitting hairs, but it's like all 3 of them are in this building. Like, how do you break it down to that level per department? Like,
It's just each department's gonna have specific needs of things that they're gonna need for their
Okay.
department. It's
Okay.
Like for me, I had to go out and spend money to buy these things
Sure.
and the tabs, and so each,
sure. No, I just didn't know if we were talking about like pens and Post-it notes and stuff like that. It's
that's,
like,
that's usually consolidated
Okay.
in the admin budget.
okay,
And you supply a closet for those type of items. These are items outside of that,
okay,
that they need specifically for them.
thank you.
I have a question. Regarding the fax line, $200 a month for a fax line, are we required to go with BCN in particular because they are special in some way for municipal type of faxes? Or is this just the lowest we were able to find?
What page are you on, Denise?
I don't know, it's 4.
Okay, thank you.
Took me a minute to find the number, sorry. It just seems like a lot.
Yeah,
But
it's
again, I don't have a fax, so
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's a copper line, and it's like
Yeah.
$200 a month for each line that you have in there. And part of it's due to, I think, the secure nature and that they have on that. Like, if there's maybe some clerks items that are vitals or things along those lines that need to be held in a confidential manner. Medical records often as well are like that. There's just a few that we have, but we've looked at all of them. I think fire had like 4 lines up there, and we've reduced those this year because it's like, we've tried to look across all the organizations, especially as they've gone up. It's like, what the heck changed? Well, Consolidated's hooking us up, or Spectrum's hooking us up with, that's like $200 a month for whatever it's going to be for the copper line, and so that's where we
Okay.
get for an increase on that. So where we found that they were in excess, we've tried to get rid of them and just pare it down to what do we need.
Has anyone, I mean, maybe we could use our tech team to look into this, or I can
Yeah, we did.
maybe look into it as far as if there's any, digital encrypted fax services, like eFax or anything that could cover that.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll continue to work on it. I know our tech folks have been, did a full review, and that's kind of what kind of
Okay.
got us to this point, to say, okay, what do we need? And let us know it's going to be a lot more expensive. So it's just
Okay.
kind of gone silly.
All right, I'll note that so that I don't bring this up a year from now, because I know
We'll,
no alternative for now.
and we will
Got it.
continue to look at this over the course of the year as well, Councilor Thorson.
So this is sort of more of I think a comment for us, but just the codification of any changes to ordinances or anything like that. We've got budgeted $8,500, so we just need to be cognizant of every time that we do that, trying to either put a date where effective as of X date, so we can sort of bundle it and hopefully reduce. Well, I guess will that reduce costs if we bundle it? If we have 10 ordinance changes in June as opposed to an ordinance change every week for 10 weeks.
We do try to bundle that as we go along. Sometimes it's better than others, but if we can kind of, I guess you could say, cluster it or bundle it together, we will try to do that as we go along. The rate isn't going down anytime soon, unfortunately. But it's a great product, and it's easy to read, and the usefulness is there. But yeah, the changes are pricey, but it's more expensive if you get sued by not having it there, and someone may feel that they weren't aware of it. So it's kind of like trying to hit that balance.
I could be wrong, but it would equate to the same amount of billable hours, just how she's doing the work. So it's like she gets one, it's not like less billable hours because she's doing two things. You know what I'm trying to say? Like it would,
Well, don't you have to print out, we have to have a physical copy every time of the current ordinance?
Yeah, they'll send us a hard copy, then they'll, basically staff will, pull and replace when it comes on hard copy. And then we'll also load it onto the website as well to make those changes electronically. So as we do it, I mean, I guess we look at what the highest number that you're going to have for a year. If there were a lot of changes coming out of a comp plan, you may see more in the next fiscal year that might happen. So I think we're trying to reflect that as well, because one of the things that generally flows out of comp plan is that there are amendments that take place to the zoning ordinances as a result of what the community's direction may be desired coming out of it. So I think it's kind of trying to find that balance on this one, too.
Totally this year with, especially with 1829.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot. If we can either make things effective, the same date kind of thing, as opposed to every meeting every 2 weeks, we're making a change, we're making a change, we're making a change. I don't know how much it will save, but.
And we did work pretty hard this year to bundle as they came along. If you look at council agendas, when we did have it, there was usually three or four at a time, and then so we try to kind of keep that together in one package.
perfect. All right, if there's no other questions, we can move on to 160 TV Tech.
Our biggest adjustment here is we noticed that we were not, we were ending up with more hours on our camera operators than what we were actually budgeting for. So this is an adjustment for that, as well as an increase on our licenses. And
Oops, go up one.
too far now.
Yeah, just a little bit. We're in elections.
34.
My glasses are in the mail, so.
What?
There you go.
Oh,
36.
thank you.
Yeah.
Adobe, I swear.
So again, I apologize. The biggest increases are to our part-time wages. We showed an increase in usage on our camera operators, so we want to try and see if we can reflect that increase, as well as under our licenses. We did expand a little bit under licenses. I can go into a little bit of that detail. And then an increase on our contracted services with our technology. We outsource our IT tech professional, as well as they provide also some services as far as for our email and maintenance of our computers and whatnot. So that went up slightly as well. But under licenses, one of the things that is happening due to the increase, it's not only as the licenses that we currently have went up, but we have added, myself and the town clerk are increasing our capacity with the use of our Munis system, which is our finance and HR system. She's trying to go online with allowing people to basically pay bills online, or a tap to pay kind of deal, PayPal kind of situation without. So she's added a module to Munis for that, and then I've added a module to do what's called TCM. It's Content Manager, which is basically putting everything online, making it one step closer to where employees have access to all of their pay stubs and W-2s, and it'll be a lot less printing in the future, and allow them to log into the system to get their data and things like that without us having to print it up in payroll and finance every time they lose it.
I love it.
So those were two that were added to it,
Okay.
as well as our current licenses that we have.
Has there ever been, Go ahead, Bob.
One of the conversations that the group of Falmouth, Freeport, Yarmouth, and North Yarmouth was a point of licenses and contracted services. And can we start to bundle these things with other communities, or can we start the conversation with the county to take this over and kind of consolidate these things and bring our costs down?
Possibly. Yes is the best answer I could give you. It depends upon the towns, and I know, like Falmouth and us and I think Freeport are all munis towns, whereas I think North Yarmouth is, they use Trio for their finances, which is a similar product, but a whole different company that they use to do their financial management and other elements of that. And I can't recall if Yarmouth is on Munis or if they're on Trio as well, but what you'd want to have there, you'd have to have the base platform by which they all could work, but, you know, theoretically, you could, you know, they could host us all. You just have to look at saying, okay, if you wanted to do that, like the other towns would have to jump in, because Munis would be where you'd want to go, because the others would be a step, you know, quite frankly, a step backwards from what we'd have, but it'd be worth exploring.
I would wonder if something like Munis is probably, it's not like a system where you're going, like, for example, if you're using like an event management platform, you can have many different events within the event. I don't know that Munis houses multiple different budget, like,
So,
segments. You know what I'm saying?
so when I was at Portland, the city and the school district share Munis, and you pretty much have to share everything
Yeah.
within it, and it'd be,
not like
that would
siloed.
mean that we'd have to have all share the same accounting codes.
Yeah.
And go to that matter, and then determine who's gonna have access to what information from, all the way from your HR side to your
Yeah.
technology side of who has permissions for what.
Yeah. And I also think you get into kind of a legal game of visibility. I don't know. Keep going. Sorry.
Well, we're carrying almost $150,000 for licenses, and it seems to me that, you know, we have to have that conversation of how to expand,
Yeah.
share that cost, and, you know,
I would see other cost savings other places. Like, I see a employee that we're paying to take video, and the town, you know, North Yarmouth's doing the same thing, and the school's doing the same thing. That seems like a cost we can consolidate. I don't know that financial management systems are the place to consolidate.
Bob, I mean, what you might run into from a licensing standpoint is that, you know, like this license is for the town of Cumberland. If we go to Munis and we say, okay, we're gonna put 4 towns under it, the cost of the license might just go up, because you're gonna wanna still break stuff out.
Sorry, go ahead, Tig.
Have we, just looking at the spectrum costs, have we looked or priced out Fidium fiber? Is there any potential for cost savings by switching to fiber? As I know they're really competitive.
It's a question to ask, and we can follow up with tech on that to see if we can get a bid on that.
Get a quote,
Yeah.
awesome.
I have 6 questions. The Adobe license, is that for all users across all departments, as in like also Rec and Valhalla and anyone who needs to use it in this line here, or is that broken out within those individual departments too?
This is for the whole town.
Okay, cool. And then, so the PD uses Power DMS, Fire uses Locality Media for their time and attendance. Do they need to be separate for reasons?
The reason why is they use it, when police went to Power Time, the fire department was invited and looked at the demo, but because of how they manage the call company and some other
okay.
aspects, that was the reason why they decided not to go with it.
Okay. What is FleetSoft?
That's to manage the inventory at Public Works and Parks.
Okay. And The domain registration being 500, what is that domain referring to? Because I thought we got the .gov for free on
That's
purpose.
for I believe that's, so one of the things that I was explained to by our IT guy is that even though we have a .gov, we have to still secure other items so people can't steal them and try to pretend they're us. So he registers us still under .coms, and anything close that's related to a .com is, and remember that was that conversation we had, that was to prevent people from stealing that website that looked like
Yeah,
ours.
that
So
makes
that's
sense.
why we do that.
Yeah, that's valid, because if someone, enters in town of Cumberland and, picks the first thing that pops up, there you go. You have entered the danger zone, so, okay, that makes sense. I think that was it. The only other thing was just me being curious what Munis's cashier and content management means. Is that just front?
That's
processing
the
stuff.
additional piece that the town clerk is adding to
Okay,
hers.
right, got it. Okay, that's it.
So what's the difference between AppGeo and Esri?
Say
They're
that
both,
again?
AppGeo and Esri, they're both ArcGIS.
Yeah, Esri is kind of Esri is the base software that does all of the GIS work. So all of the different layers that are in there is where you maintain and do that. And AppGeo is where is the forward face on it. So they'll take the Esri. Esri is a service that we subscribe to, so we can maintain, sewer lines, water lines, and update all of those different layers that build up that GIS platform. And then AppGeo is really like when you want to go online and take a look at the town parcel maps and look at that and say, okay, I want to look at who owns this parcel, and that's the vehicle by which you can look at the map, and then also it'll link it through to the assessor's database. You can see who the owner is or other areas that we can link that to. But Esri is kind of like the foundation, and AppGeo is kind of like the presenter of it.
So Esri doesn't offer, they
Not
just
that.
do the boring stuff in the background?
Yeah, they do. They're the support crew in the background that actually does all the heavy lifting. The other part's more of the
Just
forward
show.
face. Yep.
And then I don't see it on here, and I don't really know where I land on it personally, but have we looked at all for any sort of, AI level to, like, would that actually be more of a benefit and, make a lot of people to be more productive and eventually save time and money? Or is that sort of a, too big of a kettle of fish to get into?
No, we get it through we get Copilot through Microsoft and our subscription there. So folks use that as the AI model that pretty much has been the default, that if folks do want to use it, that's what they've been employing. But that has come as part of that suite.
And are we paying for the enterprise version of Microsoft? As in, rather than, it's like the highest tier and you need a quote to do it because of the amount of users, but I want to make sure, because if you aren't on the enterprise version, they can use, what you're inputting to train their models and such. So you need to make sure we have enterprise protection, data protection there.
You actually get a government version,
Okay.
which is actually a cheaper version than the enterprise version. Because
But
we're
is
the
it as
government.
secure is my question, because I think we should spend more to make sure that it,
Everything we do with ION is secured.
We can follow up
I
with that
mean,
as well, see what
yeah,
they're doing
it's
with the
still like
data.
to know what Microsoft license we're using, because,
As they build their LLM and
exactly,
learn how to replace us all.
Yeah.
indeed.
Yeah, no, we can follow up on that and get
Okay.
that question answered too.
Thank you.
Should be good. Yeah, it's been, on the manager's side of it, that's been like the #1 topic of any kind of continuing ed or conferences or anything like that I've gone to for the past basically 2 years, is discussion on all that and how that's going to impact what we do, as well as how it can be used to improve on what we do. But then, yeah, the other side of it is I guess you could say the cynic in me is like, okay, so what are they going to use that information for? So
Yeah.
you kind of have to balance that. And that's one of the areas that they do identify as a concern. It's like, okay, how is, you want to make sure that you're not putting in, all the social security numbers of all your employees and then figure out the best way that you can organize those numbers.
Correct.
That's, you're playing with fire, but
Yeah,
so it's kind of
it's
being mindful of that.
something that we, at my workplace, because I work in tech, you have to be very careful because if you're using the enterprise app in the browser, that is not the same thing as using a plugin in an app that you're using that is not connected to that enterprise login. So just making sure that, and a lot of it's education, just don't stick stuff into, the first AI you come across or whatever, or
Yeah,
and your
actually,
personal stuff, but,
we
yeah.
can't do any plugins. That's all disabled.
Really?
Yeah,
As well, yeah.
yeah.
You can't use like Grammarly or anything?
No. Well, I've tried to go in and do some plugins for some Excel spreadsheets that I
Yeah.
was trying to do, and it's all our plugins are disabled.
I mean, I would imagine, like, because you also have resident information, right? And
Yeah.
so at the risk of any of that data going into, I think so many of them aren't closed loops, and like, especially now
Yeah.
with Claude Code, it can be running in your background and it can see everything, right? So I
Fair.
imagine from a risk perspective that they wouldn't allow it to, use those types of apps if they could be running while you're looking at,
I
personal
wouldn't
data.
survive, I'll tell you that.
I will say the ION team that we have is very mindful of our online presence and our cybersecurity that we do have here. It's front of mind on everything that we do, and we work with training staff on that to identify and kind of build that muscle memory, I guess. Also known as trying to trick people into getting sucked in on phishing scams or spam scams to try to do it. And if you click on something and find out it wasn't the right one, and then they'll tell you, and
Training for
otherwise
you.
so it's kind of like, it's a constant battle because the social engineering stuff out there is very sneaky. So we try to work with staff on a consistent basis to make sure they know and have the tools to identify what's legit and what isn't. So, but it's a day in, day out battle. But ION's really good at trying to make sure our staff is prepared.
And we have backups of systems that are hopefully air gapped off. So if, we do get hacked and everything gets shut down, we can not pay MC amount of ransom of Bitcoin. We can just load everything up with a few hours of, difference.
Yes. Yeah, our backups are intensive, I guess would be the understatement of it. That plus there is dark web monitoring that takes place as well, and penetration testing that they're going to do on a fairly, perhaps once or twice a year type of thing to make sure that, to check for any vulnerabilities that we might have in our systems.
Sweet.
Where does that show up in here on the budget side of?
That's under ION, the contracted services, under technology. So it's your detailed line, it's the second to last line on page, or it's on page
so
3.
Just the contracted services, that the
That's all
207
ION.
and change, that's them.
Yep, that's all ION. So that's our tech support that we have in-house 3 days a week, as well as the other days we have coverage as well. But just we have a person in-house for 3 of those days, and then the rest of the days we're in operation. We have them as on a call-in basis as well as needed, and then as well as all the other services that they provide and the work in the background.
How many are there? 2, 3 ION employees?
Just one person, but he's pretty much here with us. One dedicated person here.
Okay.
And then there's others who, if Braden's out, takes a vacation, they'll have a different person come in who's very familiar with our systems, as well as there are other folks who are higher up that might do, if you've got something that might be a little bit higher intensity or higher level of training, that they have on staff as well to help out.
Okay.
How often do we sort of bid this out? It doesn't make sense to be changing this every year kind of thing. It would be really inefficient, but are we looking every, few years to sort of, are we getting the best price for the best service, for the best service for the best price?
To pay an employee of the town with, benefits and all that, you'll be paying way more than that. So
Not just
I would say
employee,
that.
but ION versus I have no idea what other companies are out there.
Probably Tyler Tech.
Yeah, we do look at it. It's been a bit, and we haven't done it the past 2 years, but I know I've looked at it competitively in the past as well. I think it's in a good ballpark, but it's something that and there aren't a high level of providers, I guess, who do the same level of work that they do that are available in the private sector. that do it. So but after a while, you do start to look at that, as Councilor Thorson just said, you start to look at, okay, X amount of dollars that we're paying on this. At what point do you say we need to have a full-time person in-house? And is there a dollar cost benefit that exists with that? So trying to figure out what that balance point is, as well as what the need of the organization is. Like, do we need a person full-time, or like this kind of hits right now, hits the sweet spot, but we're always open to try to find ways to balance that out.
One more question. So there's a line item for the library website. Does North Yarmouth contribute to that at all?
Good question. To the library where?
Library
The
website.
library website?
We didn't do it for this year, only because actually, I didn't even think about that. We'll probably need to move that budget so that they can contribute to it.
Yeah.
Good catch.
Yep, thank you for that.
Nice.
Just trying to
Look
make
at
sure
that.
everyone's paying
Look
equitably.
at that.
Just saved us like $500.
More than that.
$500 is $500.
Whatever 2,500 is divided by 2. I don't know basic arithmetic.
It'll
I
help
guess.
offset the fuel cost
Um,
for one day.
all right, any other questions
and-
for this cost center? I think the only other thing I briefly touched on with Bob was, that I wanted to bring up, was has there ever been a conversation about a sharing of an employee between the town, the school, and North Yarmouth about, for the video recording at all? Has there ever been a dialogue? No?
I think we'd also have to make sure that meetings don't overlap,
Yeah.
because that's a thing.
Well, it's funny because we do, and we've got a really good, I think we've got a great situation, because like Sean works at Yarmouth full-time.
Yep.
And so I guess it's kind of happening in the background, but it is something that, we can talk with Sarah and talk with Jim and Sean about that. I mean, we've kind of tried to find that spot that works for all of them. I will say it's hard to get that coverage, but it also competing schedules, that is kind of the challenge there. But I don't have a better answer for you than that.
All right.
You said it's a challenge. Does that mean if we need to increase this, we might have trouble televising or recording meetings?
No, it's more trying to find people to actually do the work is a challenge.
Oh, okay.
Like,
Okay.
there's always like, oh, we can get some students to come over from the school and do that. And it's like, oh, it's a good idea. We tried that in Cape, and then something more attractive came along, or lacrosse playoff, or
Right.
things like that kind of happen. And
They can't work past this.
or they can't work past a certain hour, things like that you'd run into. So it's kind of, there's what in theory might work great, and then there's feet on the ground what actually works.
Okay.
So Carmel is, we're very fortunate because we have 3 dedicated folks that can make it work, and so I think that's been a good thing to happen.
Okay.
We're always, I mean, I ran a lot of cameras in Cape for my last 2 or 3 years, especially coming out of COVID, because nobody wanted to do anything. So it was kind of like, well, add that to other duties as assigned. I did it here once, my second month. I think I was the TV guy for a planning board meeting one night as well. So
Yeah, once you're found out,
yeah,
they won't stop.
Gratefully, Sarah gave me a tutorial and got me up to speed quick.
Well, just a comment at least that, yes, the part-time wages went up 35%, but I think it's a good thing that we're operating cameras more often. I think we should televise more of our meetings, especially like our committee meetings and things like that. So I'm not upset about it.
But also, if I heard at the beginning, that's really to state what we actually spent versus, I mean, we've just been going over the past couple of years, right? So it's really not an increase. It's just actually budgeting the
Okay.
true cost.
Yeah, yeah.
Good
Go ahead,
catch,
Bob.
Jeff.
That's just so the public knows.
Tig suggested looking at spectrum and Fidium fiber, but I remember years ago that when we first contracted with the cable companies, there was a cash flow to the town, and I was appointed with one of the counselor to explore what to do with that cash, and out of that came the audiovisual for the town at no cost to us. And so I'm just curious if we still have a relationship like that where our access to the public access channel is still free, and if we would start shopping around, we interrupt that agreement.
It's coming up, so we are in the process, and we need to take a look at that and see where it's at. It's kind of an interesting environment that they're in now, because there are less, like, a lot more people are unplugging or cutting the cord, so to speak, from their traditional cable, and they're going to streaming and doing things like that. They still have a provider, if it's Spectrum or if it's Fidium or if it's, Otelco or what have you. That's the provider of at least the baseline service. So we're kind of, right now, we need to have a conversation with Spectrum to see where they're at, to see what that landscape looks like and what we anticipate. But usually around this time of year, March, April, we end up getting the check from them for our, based on the contract. So we're at that point now of having to look at it over the course of the next year to decide if that's gonna work or not. But yeah, it does provide a good level of funding for what, to offset what we have here for the expense on the tech side or technology side.
Any other questions? All right, so we can move on to 165 elections.
So the majority of the adjustment was, again, benefits, salary and benefits. There was a slight adjustment to part-time wages, just to make sure that we were going to have coverage for would be the November 27 election, and right, the November and the June of the following
June,
year.
November. Yep.
Yeah. Those were just about it. Part of the town clerk is allocated to this department since part of her job duties is election, so she's the full-time wage line.
And this is a little bit bigger for this year because the November election is a gubernatorial, so it's kind of a little bit similar to a presidential or a gubernatorial year. Those when we may need a little bit more labor during that period of time.
Paid family medical leave, is that for part-time and full-time employees?
Yes. So if you remember last year, we went private on our
Yes.
PFML. And so our insurance restarts on April 1st of 27, yeah. So this is my best guess of what 2 months of
Adjustment?
adjustment would be.
Okay.
Are the contract services for the elections the machines, or is it something else? We don't own the machines, do we?
No, the machines are under programming and elections.
Yeah, contract service would be programming for the machines.
Oh,
So we do own the machines, but they
Program.
charge us to basically to put in like
the right candidates?
yeah, exactly who the candidates are in the
Theft,
annual, like whenever they have that, they have to
Costs.
program the so
So you could own them, but if you don't pay to put the input
Yeah.
the data, then you're gonna have last year's questions. Wow.
it's the Gillette style of marketing. We own the razor, but they own the blades.
That's
So-
true. Plus, Matt might go in there and like edit the names. So I guess you have to have a
But
legitimate
yeah, they have to
person
send us
doing
and
it.
program the sticks every year, and then they get it. Then Jen gets it and goes from there.
Or you know.
The phone stipend, is that like an actual fully provided phone that is given to the town clerk? Or is this just like a sometimes thing? I'm wondering how you were able to swing that for under like $20 a month.
So again, she's allocated, so this is that portion of that total amount that she gets.
Okay.
So $20 of her total phone stipend are allocated to election costs.
Okay.
Are the part-time, I always thought that folks working the poll were volunteering and we're paying them?
Yep. Okay.
So
Some-
technically, we have to like offer them minimum wage.
Yeah.
So we have them fill out a form, and they waive it or not, so this is just, most people waive it, but we do have people who will want to get paid for it. So
Okay.
we book the minimum wage, pay the minimum wage for it.
Okay. Any other questions?
Can we like turn the heater down? That's my only question. I'm getting like,
I'm freezing over
I'm being blasted to death. That's fine.
On
Trades
purpose,
bosses me.
on purpose.
You're sitting like in
I know.
the glass zone and
Want to switch
poor
spots?
Tig over there is putting a coat on.
It's fine. I'll deal with it. I'll just sit back a little.
Moving on to Chris, can we get the heater turned down a little bit, please? Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Tig's throwing the hood up. The hood's deployed.
Chris, I appreciate your service to this community.
You can always put more clothes on, but you get to a point where you can not take any more off without getting arrested.
Well,
so.
Well, take your shirt off and
Yeah.
I'll wear it.
all right, moving on to 170 planning. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. Wish Ron was here. He used to give me his coat all the time.
If I had a coat, I'd give it to you, Tig, but.
For planning, all of the adjustments are strictly to the salary and benefits based on our just overall changes that we did. No changes to her discretionary budget.
Oh, that's part of it's from Tiff.
Okay. Oh, I'm missing that. Any questions on this section?
What does the planner do for advertising? What
Or
are,
public notices for any kind of item that is in front of the planning board.
okay.
We had increased the training budget, I think, was this last year?
Yes.
Has that amount so far been adequate? Or was it
She hasn't
used, or-
changed it, so I'm
Okay.
assuming it is.
All right.
Is a portion of her salary coming from another department, or is this all?
Yes,
Okay,
from TIF.
thank you.
I have a question, Matt, and I don't know if you and Bridget have, or if any of you guys have talked about this with Bridget. And I don't know if it's mandated by the state, but when Yarmouth finished their comp plan, they came and presented to us, and they also have an implementation committee. Is that something that is, one, mandated by the state, and two, that we or Bridget has thought of pulling into the fray, and three, would that impact her budget for next year if we wanted to do that?
I think we would have a gap in there we could use to help set it as, I guess you could say residual funds from the comp plan committee, if so needed. I think her plan is to bring it to the planning board and have them go through those elements to have them, in a sense, be a implementation side of it. And
Okay.
then, especially on the ordinance side, and then it'll come to the council for final decision on a lot of that as well, or moving it forward into the law phase.
Okay. So, but it's not, so it's not,
It's not required
it's just
as part of
something
law.
that
It's
you're-
just something
okay.
they chose as their option to do.
Awesome, thank you.
In the past, like, comp plans we've done, like, when I was on the council in Gray, a lot of that came to planning board and council, and that's where they kind of did that lift.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're all very proactive, I wasn't sure, because they had a citizen committee that was kind of holding the feet to the fire a little bit to make sure stuff got done, right, Bob? Am I remembering it correctly?
That's correct. That's how, that's how Yarmouth did it.
Yeah.
The Coming in the past has always had, passed it off to the planning board for implementation.
Back to the training thing. Training's always one of those things. I recall last year discussing, she was doing some things kind of off the fringe that might have just been that year.
So the personnel ordinance allows employees to also do higher education, and that we'd share in that cost with them.
Okay.
So this is that portion for her, is that training.
Okay,
It's for her to take those courses.
all right.
I can't remember from the updated personnel ordinance, but is there a process as far as, you take the classes, you provide proof that you passed or X
Yes.
amount of grade, and then it's like staggered for how much you're reimbursed or something
It's just,
based
it's
on?
either pass or fail.
Okay.
Okay.
Official pass with flying
Like, you'll get reimbursed as long as you pass the class.
Decent.
That's right.
One more question, because I noticed, like a 4% wage increase, but then I was curious, do we also give raises using like TIF? And it looks like nothing's really changed there. Do we usually just stick those increases into the general fund, or do we ever give raises from TIF and then adjust it on that end, or how does that typically
So
work?
the person's allocated, so if somebody's allocated 50/50, 4% goes to TIF, 4% goes to general fund.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe I just missed it.
Any other questions on planning? All right, great. We'll move on to legal, 190.
So with legal, I don't change the budget because we just don't know what we are gonna run into year to year. So I just try to lead the most conservative budget we have. As you know, if we're not gonna spend it if we don't need to, so it's just based on need. Just did a flip-flop on allocating between general admin and human resources, just because it seemed that that was.
So if Alyssa was doing TIF legal work for us, could that come out of the TIF fund, or does it
Yes.
come out of the
Yes.
TIF?
Yep,
Okay,
Yep, we bill it to the TIF.
awesome.
More of a housekeeping question, but if we, I'm assuming we're on retainer with Bernstein. If we don't use it in a year, we get to keep it the next year, right? Or is it use it or lose it?
It's use it or lose it. Yeah, so we end up, where in the past you would have looked at that and said, well, I've got to bill hours for X, Y, or Z. Instead, at this point, they'll bill us monthly. And then, so it's like, okay, make sure you know,
All right,
I guess the meter's not running when you make the call versus others where you could all of a sudden get well over your skis if you had an on-running situation.
okay. All right,
How long is our Bernstein contract? 3 years?
3 years.
3 years.
Yep.
any other questions?
Just, I'm sorry, help me understand, because I'm looking at the town planner wages from TIF, and it looks like 48,674.60, and then here budgeted is 68,250. So is it just not 50/50, the split?
No, it's not 50/50. I just was.
Oh,
throwing
okay,
a
it was just an
random
example.
Example of how.
Do we
things-
have that somewhere, like everyone out of TIF, like what allocation they are?
I can get that for you.
Okay,
but
I'm just curious.
in the
Not a big
system.
deal. Okay, thank you. Cool.
Don't think we can do much arguing with the legal line items.
I'm not going to argue. Would it make sense to have, like, sort of like Chris does with fuel, like a 3-year running average? And all, you know, because the last 2 years was around 68, but before that it was 33 or something and change and all. And then we've got it pegged at, 48 roughly for this current year is budgeted, and then, next year's budgeted, but sort of to give a more accurate idea of, like, this is what we've been doing and actually using and all. So we're trying to avoid as many surprises as possible. I can see this year, 27 being bigger with between 1829 and comp plan. Lots of questions, legal questions on that of what we can and can't do and all, but
Well, the way the contract was structured, wasn't it kind of like,
Yeah,
it's all-inclusive for all of these little things, but then in certain cases,
Ad
you have to
hoc.
pay extra?
Right,
but-
yeah, and there's, like, the zoning issues and stuff related to 1829 will fall under our contract with them to do it, so that's part of the thought as to pursuing it that way versus, yeah, if you had, let's say, look and negotiate like I'm trying to think, like, some out of the ordinary contract that we'd have to have, like if you wanted to see if our revision contract, for instance, if there was a problem there, to negotiate that out, to do that, that might fall outside of that scope, or if we had like a higher level personnel issue that needed to be investigated, like that would be outside of that contract. So we look at that and try, but like your zoning stuff, which is generally your stock and trade, year in and year out, that's kind of why we wanted to have that in on the contract there, because that's generally where you get your most mileage of use during the year.
So the vast majority of comp plan issues,
Should flow.
implementation is covered by contract. 1829 stuff will be covered by contract
Yep.
and all.
That should flow through there.
Okay.
Any further questions? Not, we'll move to 210, police.
The big one.
Go ahead.
Oh, nothing, I'm just saying, it's the big one,
It's the big one.
the big
Yeah.
one, rightfully so. But-
So with the police department, the majority of the changes, again, were salary and benefits, making some adjustments based on those changes, as well as there was the big increase was under contracted services. There was a couple besides the dispatch that have increased in their agreement. So they have these automatic, some of them have the automatic 3% increase. County came in at 6% on dispatch. And he tried to stay flat with everything else to make up the difference of the increases that he was showing.
Go ahead.
Matt, I feel like we talked about this last year, but can you remind me with the court time, why it spikes and goes down, spikes and goes down every year?
It's just based on demand. to
Is
be
it
in court.
just happens to work out that way where in,
And it's a
what was
four-
it, 23, it was 2,600, then to 69, then 24, then 69, then 25. Like, it just seems like there's a pattern there. That's just happenstance as opposed to an actual
Yeah, I think it's
pattern.
more, it's fully happenstance.
Having like a beautiful mind moment over there.
I-
Just kidding.
What's wrong with their photocopier?
Something.
What do you mean,
something
what's wrong
big.
with it?
Under the photocopier maintenance?
Yeah.
Just, yeah, it's the contract for the year, I believe.
Oh, it's so it's like.
It's just
Hanukkah
the-
Minolta or
it's the
something.
lease
Got it.
costs,
Yeah, yeah, it's lease,
Do they need
lease
a
cost
new
for
one?
it.
Would it be cheaper to get them a new one than to
Right.
keep repairing the old one?
I'll lease you my
No,
printer at
it's-
my
it's just-
house
it's just
for
a monthly
$810.
payment.
Or
It
I had
includes
the
the
lease, I
clicks.
just- yep.
What happens is we buy a maintenance, photocopier maintenance agreement, and it includes basically your clicks or all of the toner and everything that's needed for it during the year. So that's what you pay a monthly fee for, so then you don't have
Toner's
to,
not cheap.
Toner's not cheap, you're right. Thank you. Wasn't sure if a police officer had like a hammer and kept beating at it or something. and-
Dare you.
Why the anticipated rise in contracted services?
The dispatch contract or something, right?
Yeah, dispatch.
dispatch
Their
was in
agreement.
one, and I believe, thought A3 was another one for them.
Let's see.
What happens when we budgeted for a position and that position goes unfilled for X amount of years, do we just accrue that sum in a pile so that we're just kind of like,
It falls to the general fund at the end of the year
Okay.
if it's under expended.
But if we have a vacancy, most likely we're paying for it in overtime. So
Ooh.
we're likely to see overtime go over because we didn't fill the vacancy.
The health insurance increase, is that sort of the same thing as you were saying before with whatever section we were in, where, you
Elected
budget for X and then
versus-
other, people show up and all, that's why it's 19% as opposed to,
Yeah.
all right.
You're gonna see that in Valhalla is a huge jump because there's 2 people and one person had it, one didn't, and now 2 people have it, so it went like, it doubled. So,
How many people in the department,
in what department?
in the police department? How many people in the department?
I think we have 10 full-time
14.
and plus captain and chief. So about 12,
12?
if I remember correctly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
I think it's just a
12,
placeholder.
13. Oh, 13, counting the admin as well.
What? To hold the line.
So yeah,
in
10
the
full-time
budget.
officers, your
So,
police
like, if
chief,
you put-
captain, and an admin.
Oftentimes if you put a line item at 0.
Is that health insurance high compared to other departments?
Next year because
Is
the
their health
year-over-year
insurance high?
Showing, so you put a dollar, yeah. What?
I didn't know that.
Well, this department has the largest budget, so I mean, it'd be hard to, I'd have to take full-time employees and do a comparison.
If I took the staff, front desk staff and, the administrative staff, how many people in that department?
I think there's 5.
Clerks, yourself, planning, all those people there, can we get a correlation of healthcare costs? It seems high.
It's probably about the same. Well, they're not offered a different package that anybody else is. It's all the same pricing. It just depends upon what they subscribe.
I can see where the
to.
workman's comp rates would be different, you get guy driving a bucket truck or something like that, or someone who's doing logging has a high rate, but, but healthcare should be fairly flat.
if I'm like a
yeah.
cop, I'm probably gonna
They're
take the
all
gold
offer 2
plan over the
plans.
bronze.
There's 2 plans and
based
they all
on
get
risk.
the,
If it was me,
they all get the same offering, whether you're union or non-union.
You're just trying to understand what the cost per employee increase is, right? So like,
Well,
if you say you have gold plan last year, gold plan this year, what's the price per person increase for the taxpayer
you
versus,
see a 19% increase, and you don't see that.
you don't
in
see a
it-
19% increase. But I think
That's
the,
gonna go back to what we were talking with Counselor Magoon, which is election versus budgeting at the time and the changes that happen. So in this instance, like when we have a vacancy, I will try and budget the highest number. So that you might see if that person comes in, if they fill that vacancy during the year and that person comes in and just does a single employee-only
Family.
coverage, that budget the following year is going to go back down and it'll be less than what the average is for everybody else's increase. So I'm trying to be conservative with worst-case scenario on vacancies so that we don't end up over budget.
Yeah.
Not knowing what that vacant person's gonna elect when they do get hired.
additionally, yeah, you don't know if it's like gonna be a family of 4 coverage
Right.
with the primary beneficiary versus a single person.
And that was one of the changes that happened this year, because the person that was going to be in the position last year was I think they were a single coverage. And so we knew that number going in, and then this year, they have 1 vacant position. They're working on getting another candidate through at this point in time, but until we have that position filled, we want to, you plan as if it's a full family plan, which, just in case it is what they opt for, then we want to price that in, and then if they come in as a single, or they decide to opt out, and they have coverage elsewhere through their spouse or what have you,
that explains the differential between page 48 and 49 of 11% and 19%. That
Yes, yep.
Why is the telephone line so high?
They all are. It's the spectrum monopoly. That's why you gotta get in with Fidium. Even if you threaten, they'll give you the lower rate. It's
Okay.
real.
Yeah, we have to explore that.
With the police too, they have phones in the vehicles. So that's that charge as well. They're paying for the phone that stays with the vehicle.
Cell phones,
Yes,
but not landlines.
But not
Correct.
landlines, yeah.
yeah, these aren't landlines.
So the line here is a combination of cell phone and landline?
Yeah, because they also, well, no, police don't have,
They have
hold on.
their
Yeah.
onboard computers that are cell-driven.
So, yeah, so the telephone is a combination of actually an air card, because they also have computers in their cars, so they're required to get, so they can get cell service for internet for their computers. Then you have their phones through ION, which is the VPN we do in the office.
So you have it, in
And
the
then
fire
the cell
department, you've got a
phones.
line for internet, and you don't have any line in the police department for internet.
Because they share the town hall with us, so they get
Yeah.
luck of the draw on that, and no internet charge to police department.
Their internet access is part of the
Yes,
Part of the
so
whole
that,
building,
that,
yep.
that internet that the police are on is in the, our building budget that we have, the municipal building. That's where we pay for the internet for this building. There's not a way to split out police department's, internet, because it's just one bill that comes for the building.
So it would seem to me that the police department is using the internet a lot more, that it's a lot more of a function in their work than it is the fire department. Is there a way to kind of look at that holistically, at that whole number? Can we see that someplace?
For everybody?
Yes.
Sure.
That's on the front, I think.
I think too, reaching back to Tig's point earlier, putting out a bid to see if Fidium is a viable option for internet all around, right? Yeah. Jeff, you had a question?
Yes, on page 17, air cards, mobile data terminal connection.
What page, Jeff?
Page 17, if I'm reading this correctly, it looks like we have 12 air cards.
It's 12 months.
Okay, it's 12 months, all right, never mind, that's,
That's the monthly
yeah,
charge.
never mind, we're good. We're good.
I have trouble with math too.
It's getting too late in the day.
Time change too.
Yeah.
Don't forget that crap.
If we had 12 air cards, I'd have more questions, it's just 12 months, so we're good.
Where did I go? Why am I in the ACO section?
Just one other kind of like housekeeping thing. I know we saw a bunch of capital stuff. As far as where that fits in the process, that's not in here currently, right? To my
Capital's
understanding.
under 910.
910, okay,
Capital improvement.
perfect. Okay. Any other questions for police right now? I think similar to fire, this is part of a larger conversation and also a challenging one because public safety is always at the forefront, so it's a tough space.
But what we did try to do is, again, reallocate resources to come up with a better, more complete plan for staffing. We took a look at how that would affect overtime as well as call pay and station pay. So you'll see that there's been some slight adjustments all across the board when we took a holistic look at, what the impact would be, making that change to this department. So with that, we ended up, actually, which we didn't expect, but the fire department came in at, was the only department that came in at a reduction in their budget from last year based on the changes we made.
Just before we move on, I have one more question. The bottom of the police department budget, there's a line for tires, obviously for the police cruisers. Does the equipment maintenance cost also cover like routine maintenance? Is that what that line's for, the 14,198 on page 15, or is it, am I missing it someplace else?
Ask that question one more time.
So, equipment maintenance, page 15, 14,198, what's that cover?
Not sure, but I can find out for you.
You have to get
Thank
it
you. You know?
for you.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah, we do all the routine maintenance for all the police cruisers at Public Works.
Okay.
But we also bill it out, so any parts used, oil changes, any work that we do on cars, we
Okay.
bill it back to the police department, but we don't charge labor.
Okay.
Similar to what we did like last year when we were going through all the licenses and determining if we still needed them. There's like 1 million licenses here in the police budget. I'm assuming they've gone through and made sure that all these are still needed and not redundant or anything like that.
Chip would never keep something redundant.
Chip's on top of it.
Yeah. And this is them entering it for the first time, so
Okay.
they'd have to review everything that they put in the system. So this wasn't like a rinse and repeat process this year, because we went to this detail.
Okay. Oh, are interpreter services done through the county, or how do we do those? Just curious if that's something that we're all kind of sharing. Anyone know? Well, I'll Google it.
I can get back with more detail on that specifically. I think that's on an as-needed basis, because I don't think the county has that as a service that's available.
Okay.
But it's not used that much, but I can find out who our provider is.
Sort of piggybacking off of Jeff's question, but on page 19, maintenance agreements, is that for things other than the vehicles? It's, it went down, which is fantastic, by, 8,500 or so, but what is that? How is that different from the maintenance that's on page 15? Or, 15, I think.
You said 15 was the secondary line item?
15 has equipment maintenance of 14,198, and then on page 19, there's maintenance agreements that's down to 5830 from 14,355.
Yeah, so those are listed right underneath it. As you can see, it's that All Traffic Solutions, OpenFox Messenger, the Motorola Flex, Record Management System, and then NetMotion. Those are the actual maintenance agreements.
Equipment maintenance is cars and
Where the equipment maintenance has to do with the actual vehicles and repairs.
So Councilor McGoon, if you look at on page 19, for maintenance agreements, it showed the amounts adopted 14,355. And then what we had there, the 5830 is then on the, the difference between 14,355 and the 5830 is that delta of 8525 reduction. And then it just from there got allocated out. The 5830 then breaks down to the 4,500 for all traffic, and then 200 for OpenFox, and then NetMotion. So that adds up to the 5830. So it just kind of, instead of having it all in one lump sum, now it's
Segmented.
allocated out to those 4 different
Yeah,
items.
yeah, I think I'm just getting used to the new,
Yeah,
the lack of indentations for things that are normally indentated, but are also sort of indentated, indentated.
No.
Make new words.
duly notated.
You clearly didn't go to SAD
Notated it.
51.
Denise and I are the grubber police.
Shout out to gas prices here. We're budgeting $3.25 a gallon. Let's see if we can hold steady over the next year on that
I
amount.
believe.
That was Chris's estimate that he said that he does
Yeah.
based on 3 years.
I know.
We also add
Scared for all of us.
Okay.
Any other further questions on police?
We're tax exempt on fuel anyways, aren't we? Okay.
Okay. Moving to fire 220. Definitely happy to see a reduction here. Anything notable, Helene, you want to chat through here, or?
Again, this is where we made a reorg of taking the deputy position, moving it to a full-time position, and then adding another position, but halfway through the year, making sure that all of the other positions have been filled before we go ahead and budget for that 12th position. And also taking a look overall at all of the other aspects of payroll that correlates with it, which is what he did. Reviewed his call pay, station pay, as well as his per diems, and tried to make sure that we were taking a holistic look at what the need for the department was based on that approach of restructuring.
Health insurance didn't go down?
Again, so this would be that situation where,
Someone elected?
mhm,
Okay.
or change mid-year.
Go ahead.
Once the solar field expansion is complete, will their electricity costs go down? Are they included on that?
They're already on it.
Yeah.
So, they're already on it?
Yeah, so if you remember,
bill
what we
back.
did with
Bill
it is we pay ourselves for that line.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you.
Go ahead, Bob.
It's a difficult budget to look through and try to make a lot of sense to it. My long-term goal is to break out fire and rescue, because I think, looking at a regional approach, rescue should be under its own cost center, and we'd be better able to analyze that and look at cost savings with consolidations with other departments, or better yet, going to county EMS. Is there a way to just get a simple answer? What is the fire budget and what is the rescue budget? Can we just divide it by 2 or have some sort of number that we can get a handle on that?
Let me jump in on this. I think Chris can probably, due to his experience, kind of give you a flavor as to how traditionally it's worked.
That's kind of how we did it back almost 15 years ago. We were separate. It was fire and rescue, and there was a fly car service. So we were regionalized. We were regionalized with North Yarmouth, Yarmouth, and Falmouth. And the paramedics ran out of this building and provided paramedic service to the other towns. And each town had its own ambulance. I think we could break it out. It's really intertwined now after 15 years, because now you have firefighters and paramedics with common certifications. So it's kind of hard to break out the people. We could break out the equipment and the medical supplies, and all of that can be broken out pretty easily. It's basically the human capital is going to be the challenge, because they are doing dual roles.
You could almost break it out that you're, based on your runs, it's probably 70 plus or minus % is related to EMS and 30% to fire, or 75-25 would probably be closer to the breakdown of it based on the calls that they respond to. And then But then you can look, in a sense, you've kind of got that, because your full-time wages reflect the chief and the full-timers that we have on hand, and then your part-time or your station pay and your call pay cover your call company folks. But they do respond to, as needed as well to EMS calls when they're available. So it falls into that sum. So cleaner-wise, you could say, well, if you allocated 75% of that to full-time wages to EMS side of it, that kind of gives you a barometer to measure by.
So a couple of lines there, a duty officer and a health director stipend. And are these two people serving in the same place at the same time? Kind of.
Yeah, to like the duty officer, those are stipends to officers from the call company. So your deputy chief, lieutenants, captains, things along those lines, they get, and those really your call pay folks. They have a stipend that they each get paid. Different ones get paid throughout the course of the year based on what their rank is, and in responding. And then the medical director is an actual doctor who reviews all of the different protocols, as well as, and Chris, you maybe could explain it better than I do, because he's got more experience with it.
Yeah, it's just, you have to have a doctor overseeing the service because they're giving out medication and scheduled narcotics. So he has to make sure that they're following protocols and that they're basically following the EMS rules.
And so that's more,
And we've-
they're all stipends, in a sense, or retainer for those services.
So the telephone up by $9,000, 9,200.
That one is in flux, so that number's gonna change.
Down?
Down.
Okay.
Yeah, downward. That was where we were talking about all the extra, like, copper lines. It's like, well, how many lines do you really need? So that number is, I'll put it this way, Councilman Magoon, it's under construction. But it's more in the demo phase versus the build-up phase. So we will see a negative number be applied to that soon.
Do we expect before we vote on the budget, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Uniforms, $20,000 for uniforms. Is that hazmat suits, or is that just dress blues and working khakis, or what falls underneath that?
You can see it on the next page, it breaks it down. It's a mix. The biggest chunk is just, I guess, regular clothes. Dress is 4,600.
But that's per the union contract too, so.
Yeah, like, see how, if you flip the, oh, well, it's here on 18,
18?
yeah. You see at the top, it breaks it down.
Yeah, the detail for the uniforms is on top of 18.
It still seems like a high.
Yeah, that is
So
per
there's-
contract.
Yeah,
For the
so
CBA.
9,000 of it is per contract.
Did we get, oh, never mind. Well, I don't know, did we get 4 new people who needed new dress uniforms? Or do they just grow out of them?
Not everyone gets them when they become full-time,
Okay.
so they rotate it on who gets it.
Okay. Good deal.
Bob, is your point that they could be repurposing what is currently existing and it shouldn't be increasing?
People typically keep their dress uniforms.
They do.
But,
I was trying to understand what he was
yeah.
questioning. Bob, did you hear me?
No.
Were you questioning why we need to be spending that much every year? Shouldn't they be reusing it, or what were you kind of alluding to?
I think the number's high,
Okay.
yeah, just in general. I think, $20,000 a year for uniforms is
That's a lot of money.
a lot of money.
Yeah. Is that, just this might be a Matt clarifying question, annually they're getting new uniforms as part of their contract?
Like, as far as the clothing allowance and the shoe allowance, that's not, which is $9,000 of it, that's an annual allowance, because they'll go through that over the course of the year.
Okay.
So that's part of the contract, collective bargaining agreement is that part. On the other part, the polo shirts and things like on the per diems, depends upon per diems, if you have them. Oftentimes they can do that once a year type of thing, but that's only $800 of it. The dress uniforms, that's probably as needed, so in case they do need to have that, at least they're putting in for 4 during the course of the year. And then the call company dress uniforms there's 2 there. And then on the call company work uniforms, that's just more, stuff.
Okay.
Just, it'll break down, but that's usually an annual thing.
So you probably have people that are working in more than one department, particularly in the per diems. So it seems to me that we shouldn't be buying them uniforms, because
I was
they're,
gonna say Cumberland on
Yeah,
it.
you kind of want them to come in with a shirt that says Cumberland on it versus South Portland or what have you, so. But all joking aside, I mean, most of them are, we don't have a high catalog of per diems, and you saw that number has gone down this year to reflect that. Mostly it's in case we do need them, you want to have them just wearing the right gear. And then, yeah, and the call company folks, you've got 30, 35 people on an annual basis who keep their stuff in case their shirts might get worn out over the course of the year, then you can replace it. So they may spend all up to that, but they're not obligated to spend it all out. So it's usually a question of okay, that shirt's ratty, you need to swap that out.
Oh, go ahead, Dick.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, and if someone could direct me to where, were we able to get the air packs in here?
That'll be under
That's our
capital.
Oh, okay, sorry.
When we're charging out for, someone wants to have ambulances on site, are we just charging for pay, or is there like a service fee as part of that?
We bill out at a rate that has our expenditures in that.
Okay.
It's going to be greater than, basically you try to figure out a rate that's going to reflect labor, materials, time, all of that.
Okay.
Allocations for equipment, try to figure that out into what you're billing for a rate. And then you do that. If you have to transport, there's, that escalates
Agreed.
the costs there. And then we bill that through a third party that bills it, collects it, and sends it to us.
Okay,
That's what most departments do.
all right.
We have to pay to have OSHA tell us about safety?
Oh, they come in and do
Is that a
those.
membership that we pay? Why did it go up? Or why are we paying OSHA more? Anybody know?
I think it's just the annual inspection fee that they have on that. They have to do an annual inspection, and they come through and
Jacked it
make
up
sure everything's.
50%.
Pardon?
They jacked it up 50%. Unsafe.
Yeah, it's not because we're unsafe, that's for sure.
One more question
There should
before
be.
Bob goes. Some of the building maintenance items, like, the maintenance seem like they would have carried over from last year, but the floor refinishing and the painting, are those an annual thing? Because I'm trying to, I think it would be helpful if they're not, and these are kind of just like maintenance projects that are being rotated every year, seeing, based on last year's expenditure, what that went toward versus this year, if these are new items. I mean, maybe they paint it once a year, but it seems kind of excessive.
I would agree.
That's on page 18.
and while she's on that subject, if you look at the 2 items together, building maintenance and maintenance agreements, that's $70,000 there.
And he's also making sure this is coverage for 2 buildings, your west station and your central station. So you gotta keep that in mind as well. I don't know what's in building maintenance, I wrote it down, but, I'll provide you like what's been done in the last few years for the buildings, so that we can take a look at it and compare it to what they're
Okay.
budgeting for.
Yeah, it just seems like if we don't need
Catch-all.
to paint and refinish the floor this year, you can save almost $9,000. So it's just be good to know if that's an annual thing and if it cannot be an annual thing. I don't know.
And Councilor Thorson, on the OSHA side of it, I think that's really more to try to reflect what the actual expenditures were.
Okay.
When you look at that, because historically, they've been around $1,000, $1,100, and so
Oh.
Chief bumped it up to $750, trying to split the difference and see if we can get closer to that. So I think historically, they were there, and they were budgeting at about half of that cost.
They didn't factor in the bribes. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, please.
Oh my God, Denise.
You know, it'd be
Thanks,
recorded,
Carl.
right?
When they're from the state, they like to call them kickbacks,
Yeah.
PDs.
Just making sure everyone's paying attention.
So just to clarify from an action item perspective,
Yeah.
are we trying to ask if that's necessary for this year?
Yeah, I would like to know,
Okay.
the painting and the floor refinish, is this an annual expense? And if it is, why? Is that it?
Matt, can you report back?
Yes, we will, yeah.
Thank you. Andrew, what was your question?
So for fire, we've got a line here for Verizon for, you know, 5K or so. And then back in the police, we've got AT&T. Is there a reason why we have one on one and one on the other?
Yeah, so AT&T offers like a discount rate for safety on the what is that called again? There's a specific verbiage. It's FirstNet,
FirstNet, that's what it
which
is
allows
for
them to
for
be
PD.
like, yeah, gives them the priority on the cell service, where the fire is using Verizon for that. They downgraded from computers in their vehicles to iPads, so it's to cover that cell service for iPads.
So would the FirstNet thing work for the fire, and B, A, would it work, and B, would it be cheaper?
Because adding a line in a device is usually cheaper than,
Yeah, I think they're getting a pretty good deal on Verizon too. That's normally what we actually used to have all of our cell services with is with Verizon, because they give us like free equipment with a line and things like that, so.
Oh, did someone else have a question? No? Just, I know just because I can't remember, the cell tower we were looking to put in on the 4 side, what was that tower? T-Mobile?
It is a Verizon tower.
It is a Verizon tower,
ma'am.
okay.
And, yeah, so that's in process. I know Chief Rumsey's working hard with our different providers on that to get the network and all the pieces in place. They're going to probably do the construction on that tower down on the 4 side. We're hoping that's going to take place in '27.
Okay.
If that is a Verizon tower, would the AT&T things still help over there with the FirstNet aspect of it, or are we getting into two companies not cooperating?
I think it'll still work over there.
We'll get the benefit for the PD. We'll get the benefit of that. I know they get the radio benefit.
Yeah, the radio
but
the radio
they would
benefit
get
would be the big one, probably.
The cell benefit as well, even though it would be a Verizon tower.
Yeah, they'd be, what's the word? They'd be, I don't know if they'd be roaming on that or if they could use that service. I can follow up with Chief on that. I know with us, our motivation there was radio versus cell. Vastly improved radio, historically improved radio. But the cell, yeah, it may be a little bit different. We can find out about that. But like that, yeah, that FirstNet stuff does give them priority. So in case, all heck breaks loose and you and I try to dial out and we're getting fast busy, whereas the PD's blasting right through that and getting a clear line on that side of it. And they've kind of specifically tailored that towards like the PD side of it. Nationwide, that's kind of a big promotion for them.
I think it'd be good if we can see if that's going to help
Yeah.
them on the cell side of it with that new tower, given it's a different company's tower.
Denise?
yeah. On page 20, medical supplies versus med supplies / hospitals. Does anyone know the difference between those two and why the hospitals one went up 1,500? Like, what does the hospitals mean versus regular medical supplies?
They told me before and I can't remember.
There's a difference between the medical supplies, disposable medical supplies, and then the drugs that they have to purchase from the hospital.
Okay.
So there's certain things that they can purchase through a medical company, have it delivered directly here, oxygen masks, whatever,
Okay.
but needles and everything else they have to get, and the drugs, they have to get it from the hospital, and we get charged
Okay.
for them.
Do we know if we need more of them or if they just raise the prices or what?
I don't know, but it's probably they raise the prices.
Yeah, okay.
Any other questions on this one?
Could I have a better explanation of internet cost for the fire department? It just seems an exorbitant amount of money for what I don't see.
We can get a breakdown for you on that, Counselor Bill.
So each station has, your central station has 12 months of internet, your west station has 12 months of internet, and then there's a 12 months of cable at the central station. That's what those are, the breakout underneath.
I don't pay that at home, that kind of money. And my wife and I both use internet interchangeably, so, and we have cable too. So I'd just like a better understanding of what that cost entails.
To be fair, if you had all the streaming services, it would probably equal that. But,
I'm
I
not sure we
mean,
need streaming services.
if I was
Well,
like
it-
living at the fire station for a while on my shift, I'd
I'm
be
not
like,
sure
I
that
want to watch
that's
some
part of
TV,
what
Bob.
we're doing.
But
or
one of
should
them
be
is
doing.
just cable,
Okay.
the other two is internet. So it's like the town hall internet. That's the lines that you don't see at the police department is internet.
I'm pretty sure I can justify the cost expenditure at the town hall. I'm just would like a better explanation.
I
of-
understand. I'm just explaining to Council Thorson that it wasn't for streaming services. I just didn't want that to get confused.
Sorry.
Well, when I see cable, that to me means like
No, that one
DirecTV or
is,
some
that
sort
one
of-
line is, but the other two
Yeah.
are strictly internet.
What I was saying to Bob is like if weighing cable versus getting all the streaming services to watch what you want, it probably would even out. I'm just playing
I think I
devil's
pay
advocate for the cable people.
basic internet, I pay what, 80 a month at home?
Fidium fiber.
I guess
Yeah, the
I
internet
guess I'm
is
just
pretty
trying to
big.
figure out why one building is more than the other.
It would be
More
the
drops.
the load.
Oh, there is, okay, there's more
requirement.
drops, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
And yes, Fidium.
And they got that,
Good God,
they do have the
video.
Hulu without ads.
Bill, did you have a question?
Exactly.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I have about 5 of them. Bill Young, Hedgerow. At the onset, you had mentioned that a full-time firefighter, that you're going to take 60% of their wage from regular and then 40% from TIF. And I wonder if you could explain how, I'm curious, because I know it has to be like some sort of commercial development or something like that, and I wonder how it's great that you're doing it, because it's dollar for dollar. I mean, anytime you can pay wages out of TIF, that's a great thing. I just wonder how that is working.
Well, our TIF districts have been growing, but our staff haven't been able to grow for it. So this is our opportunity to allocate that appropriately now at this
Okay.
point.
All right. And then, so last year when I was here, we had actuals for, even though it was a partial year. So, so when you're allocating, you're budgeting off the previous year's budget. So you're budgeting off the budget instead of budgeting off the actuals to date. And I just wondered if this is, if that's showing that, or you're just showing last year's budget and then showing the increase from last year's budget.
So we always compare budget to budget when
Yeah.
we're reviewing. But when we meet with the department heads, we are looking at actuals and making sure it's still in line with what's going on. Unfortunately, this is a new system, and it's
Yeah.
not where we actually is our financing system. This is a new system. So it would be a big overhaul for me to take actuals out of our current system and move it to this system at this point to make the budget.
Okay. All right. And then on the training, on the fire department budget, when Andy was here, the deputy chief, it's not here anymore, was his training budget still about $30,000? Because you're showing $30,000 this year, and I realize that, you know, having been in the fire department, I know what it costs to send people to training, but is there nobody doing in-house training, or is there just, are these just all to keep their certs up? It seems like a lot to me, I guess.
Yeah, part of the CBA for the full-timers has, we have to build that in. So if like a paramedic has to maintain X amount of hours, an advanced has this and a basic has this amount. So we put that into the training. But there's also training that takes place at the station.
Yeah.
And some of that might fall under call pay, because if it's call members showing up for that, then they'll, like,
Yeah.
like under station pay.
Sure, yeah,
So they'll
that's
do some
right.
of that. Sorry,
Yeah,
yeah,
I get
station pay.
Okay, thank you. Do they have a specific clothing allowance? Because I had, at Old Orchard, we had 500 a year. So is that how this
Yep.
works? here?
Yes, I think it's 700, it's 500 for clothing and 200 for footwear. That was per the CBA. Yeah, it's,
That's a wicked contract they have, so.
Well, it'll stagger you too. All due respect, Bill, I was looking at just, crap that pops up on your internet. Like you look at a pair of Timberlands, like $210
It's
now.
crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
It's so
what did they do?
crazy.
I mean,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
I mean-
well, we had, we actually worked through a contracted service in New Hampshire that we were able to get some pretty fearsome discounts on our
yeah, like
on
Red
our
Wing, you
clothing.
can oftentimes find that they'll treat you right too
Yeah.
for public safety folks.
You do
And-
admirals, they would probably, do they get a choice of where they get to go with this, or do they,
Yeah.
is it out of purchase?
Yeah, it's just their allocation, so if they, it's pretty much, you can spend 3 if you want, but you're gonna get 2.
Yeah. The other thing, and I just compare this to my fire station, or where I retired from, is that anytime cable service we had, like we had HBO, and we paid for that out of a house fund. Do they have a house fund there that they contribute to, like, for anything? Do they have a house fund, I guess, so,
I may have to find out that.
yeah.
question for, but I don't believe so.
I just wondered, just because when you said cable, I know that every one of our bedrooms there had had a monitor TV, and we could watch a variety of things, but we paid for it,
Yeah.
basically, so. I just
Yeah,
wondered.
we'll have to find out
Yeah.
on that one, what they
Yeah,
have.
just wondered. Thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
it.
Bill. We're going to take a 5-minute recess before we start the council meeting. Thank you guys for coming. Thanks for everything, guys.
Thank you, and thank you to all of your staff.
Don't let anybody tell you anything different.
rumble in the jungle. Hello, everybody. Today is Monday, March 9th, 2026. Welcome to the Cumberland Town Council meeting. At 5 o'clock, we had our first budget workshop out of about 700 meetings that we'll be having through May 11th. Thank you, Councillor Douglas, for taking us through that first round, and thank you to our town manager, our finance director, and our assistant town manager for doing an excellent job so far with this year's budget. First up on the agenda is the approval of minutes from the February 23rd, 2026 meeting.
I'll give you a motion. I move to.
Abstaining, so someone else needs to,
Was it?
go ahead.
You didn't. Is that a motion?
Yeah.
Second.
There we go.
And we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor? All those abstentions? All right. Got that, Mr. Manager?
Yes, ma'am.
Five and one abstention.
501.
That's correct. Okay, cool beans. All right. Speaking of managers, what's going on with the manager's report?
Thank you, Madam Chair. As for those who may have not tuned in earlier this evening, just want to express our excitement to go into the budget season with the council and to get that very important part of our jobs done for the coming year. We're very excited to come in with a 3% increase this year, which was our goal to come in. And I think it's important to stress that the 3% is the I guess you could say the highest part of what the town's budget increase is going to, because that has not factored in any new growth. That's been like, let's say, for instance, at this point in time, we know that there's at least $15 million in new value that's been added, not due to a revaluation, but due to new homes, other items that are being constructed, that the assessor works over the next, couple of months to also assess those new homes that are coming on, and as other new construction and land splits and things along those that take place on an annual basis. So that will also help offset the growth that the town shall see to the net, I guess, the net amount of the budget increase. The one caveat to all of that, I will say, is the revaluation is the ultimate wrinkle into that argument, because it is a changing landscape when it comes to the allocation and distribution of the tax burden across the town as a result of the revaluation. So our focus has been to say, okay, what's the bottom line look like for this year? So if nothing else changes, at least we know that it'll be 3% or less on the town's side for budget impact. The revaluation may find that if someone's been undervalued, that they may pay more than that in the coming year, because they might have been underassessed in comparison to another property that would be getting assessed at closer to full market value. So there are two different factors in play there, but we've really tried to focus on making sure that we can be conservative as we could this year to address to that. We are roughly 26% of the overall tax rate. The school's looking at about 68% of the tax rate, and the county's the remainder. So there is that. We do know the county's looking at having about a 13% increase this year for their allocation to the town. They've had their challenges, I will say, because of decisions made by the commissioners as far as some conditions at the jail and what they had for revenue in the prior year's budget that this year they won't be having due to not housing federal either inmates or detainees or what have you. So with not having that $2 million in revenue flows down to us at the local level. So it's not a criticism of the county. It's just math. So we all have different things, but I am really proud and grateful of my department heads and the work they did, and the yeoman's work that Helene DiBartolomeo, our fantastic finance director, and the work that she's done to get to this point. We do hope that folks find that the budget that we do push out there, that they find it easy to read, easy to comprehend, and can see something, and they'll notice a significant difference from the prior year's format. But we do want to find it to be a lot more user friendly, and then going forward, folks can look at that and even plug in their their values later. Once we do have the revaluation done and we can look at forecast mill rates, then folks will be able to probably use that to estimate what their tax impact will be going forward. So some of that is, still to come. However, we are excited to get to this point and get this part of the year started, because I think it's one of the most important things that we do year in and year out. So that's the extent of my manager's report this evening, Madam Chair.
Any questions for our town manager?
I don't know if this is for now or better done in new business.
Just do it now.
YOLO. Have we got the next steps going to have the item on the school board agenda for them to vote forward the funding formula amendment, potentially?
Thank you for that question, Councilor Thorson. I was looking at my list here. I was like, I probably should have touched on that too. But I thought, yeah, new business, others. I did reach out, as the council knows, at the end of last week after I placed the question to the town's attorney as to what to make sure that I was not misunderstanding the proper steps going forward. So as a result of that, I did reach out to Superintendent Porter as well as to Manager Barnes in North Yarmouth, just to say, hey, and shared the town's attorney's opinion, and said, I knew they were meeting that evening, so I'm not sure. I haven't heard back from Superintendent Porter yet, but I know they've been fairly busy with their budget thing, but I will be following up on him to see if the request that came from the council will be on the next or very soon on an upcoming agenda.
Okay.
So the next steps should be that the school board should consider the request made by the council and determine if they want to move forward with that. So I will update as soon as I get a response back too.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for asking.
Matt, on the reval, I know that there was a long time since the last one. What's the plan going forward is it every 5 years on a rolling basis, sort of, what are we looking at in the future?
I think the assessor's plan is to do it on a, if not annual, and a biannual basis, to basically keep the numbers updated. So if you can sit there and you can adjust your cost schedules for construction cost and pricing, you can do tweaks in the market, value of land. So basically, it's either land or building is where you have to assign value. So as construction costs may increase, if that seems to be getting out of line, you can make those adjustments. You can make small adjustments in land values too. If you find a neighborhood that might be growing quicker than others, you want to look at that and say, okay, these guys are outpacing these folks over here. When I was in Auburn, we used to do we called a 1 in 4 review. So we would make those changes on you want to make sure you went to a property once every 4 years. And so by doing that, you kind of had a rolling update to make sure, and then you didn't find the paradigm shift that would, right now we're probably at 47% assessment, meaning, a house that's worth $100,000 is being assessed at $47,000. So I know those are unnatural numbers in today's world, but looking at that and having that routine updating taking place, I think will basically take that need to do that on the state law says every 10 years you're supposed to do it. If you do it more regular, it's less painful and it keeps your mill rate constant and fairly stable. So there's not a lot of that winners and losers that take place as a reval, which is the worst part of it, quite honestly. That's the most traumatic, especially, well, depending upon where you're at. If you're under-assessed, you're not going to be happy with the change. If you're over-assessed, you're going to say, well, what took you so long? Or where's my dough from the past 10 years? So that's what you want to avoid. But yeah, I think Clinton's plan going forward and our operational plan should be to have that on a biannual at least basis.
Any other questions? Or comments? No. Okay. Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So this is the time of night where we typically do public discussion, but seeing as there is no one here that I can see, I guess we will move into the next portion of our meeting, which is legislation and policy. As part of legislation and policy, there is the opportunity for public comment per Article 2, Section 7 of the Town Charter. There will be an opportunity for public comment on each item on the agenda. Comments are limited to 5 minutes per person, just saying that in case there is anyone that I can't see out there. 26-022, to hold a public hearing to consider and act on a liquor license renewal for Flannel Shirt Food Company LLC, Dara Bistro, for the period of March 8th, 2026 to March 27th, 2027. For folks at home that may not be super familiar, Dara Bistro is located at 371 Tuttle Road. It's a Class A restaurant renewal for the proposed license period through next year. This is something that we have to do by statute. It's almost kind of a little bit of housekeeping, but really it's to kind of another layer of compliance to make sure that businesses within our community are continuing to be responsible business owners. And we have all assurances from the police and code enforcement that they're feeling good about this. So yeah, I would open the public hearing, but there's no one here. So I guess we'll move into council agenda or council commentary on this.
I give you a motion whenever you're ready.
Does anyone have any comments?
Put it to the floor.
No?
What was that, Bob?
Put it to the floor.
Okay, put it to the floor.
Okay. I move to approve the liquor license renewal for Flannel Shirt Food Company LLC, Dara Bistro, for the period of March 28th, 2026 to March 27th, 2027.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion?
I noticed that I've known the lady that is the manager there for a number of years and engaged her with conversation a number of times and never really paid attention to her last name. And last name is Pettingill, which really rung a chord for me, knowing that that family has a long history here in Cumberland. And next time I see her, I'll have to ask her what the relationship is there. But there was not quite a corner store, but Pettingill family right across from the church had a store for a number of years. But anyways, they're a great business, they're great people. Everybody that's involved with that, from the staff on up, are a joy to interact with on sometimes a daily basis. So I'm all in favor of renewing their license.
Thanks, Bob.
Excellent. This will call for a vote. All those in favor? Unanimous, Brenda. Okay. Next up, we have 26-023 to reappoint William Longley as Code Enforcement Officer and Dan Small as alternate from April 1st, 2026 to March 31st, 2027. In the past, William Longley has been voted Code Enforcement Officer of the Year. Even if he didn't get it this year, we won't hold that against him. We know he is top notch. Mr. Manager, any commentary on this apart from the essential electrical and plumbing inspections and keeping us in good shape?
Defending champ code officer of the year, Mr. Longley, has done a great job for us. And if you notice, we're actually getting it done on time this year, because I think the council looked at this back in August to reappoint him. So if we wanted to be on the calendar with the right dates now, so that's why we brought this forward this evening.
We're so proud of you, Mr. Manager.
Get that. Broken clock is right at least once a day or twice a day.
Makes one of us.
Any other council discussion?
I'd be happy to provide a motion.
Wow, Jeff. I was trying to say it too, you know?
Hey, you got the last one. I'm
All
going for
right,
this
go
one.
ahead.
So.
Go for it, homie.
Item number 26-023, I move to reappoint William Longley as Code Enforcement Officer and Dan Small as alternate from April 1st, 2026 to March 31st, 2027.
Give you a second.
I'm gonna give it to Bob. His hand was up first.
What?
All those in favor? Unanimous, Brenda. All right. Next, we are going to be setting up another public hearing. So that is 26-024 to set a public hearing date of March 23rd to set sewer user fees. I think there's a lot that to look at with the sewer user fees, and we can either look at that, we can kind of jump into that now, or we can save it for the public hearing since we're sort of setting a date, but whatever the council appetite is.
Madam Chair, if it would be of help, I will have another, like, I guess, a condensed memo for the council in advance of the public hearing as well, that kind of try to pull the gist out of what that larger package that the council has in there is. There's, suffice it to say, there's some significant capital investments that need to take place in the sewer system over the next few years, so we need to build up that reserve account to meet that. The immediate future, you'll see the pump station at the end of Tuttle Road. It has a couple of significant updates, I guess you could say 50-plus year equipment changeouts that need to take place, and there's also capacity expansion that's going to take place in Falmouth at the sewage treatment facility down there in expanding their capacity as well as improvements. So some of those larger items are looking at what we're looking to try to build that fund up in. And you notice last year there was a 12% increase that took place, and we're looking at 10 this year, and probably along those lines for the next couple of years as well to try to build that, because the revenues that are coming in short of what the actual expenditures are to operate the system. So that's why we're looking to do this increase and to try to keep us up to date as well as being able to fund future needs.
I was just curious, as part of the public hearing, if, and I don't know how you would even get this data, but as part of 1829 and capacity as being on sewer and water, I would just be curious as to whether or not they're making those projections into kind of future capacity. Because it's us, Falmouth, and are there any other towns on the?
On this one, it's just Cumberland and Falmouth.
Just Cumberland
Yeah,
and
on
Falmouth.
on that part of the network.
Yeah, I'd just
Yeah.
be curious, like how they're planning for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a significant issue that was even discussed at the work session, at the legislative side of it, that I think a lot of folks have provided testimony to the legislature saying, we know you want to put 84,000 homes in this
Yeah.
area, and we know you want to maximize it if there's sewer and water available. However, it's not an infinite volume of capacity that's there. So trying to have our legislators actually understand that it's not just as simple as adding units. You need to have a comprehensive approach to it. And I think that gained some traction with a number of them from everything I've understood from the testimony level. So nevertheless,
More to come?
more to come. Yeah.
There was a Press Herald article, I think yesterday, or the day before as well, not only talking about capacity, but just the aging infrastructure in general. It already needs replacement. It's like ancient. So on top of that, you're gonna need, it's just astronomical cost. So they're gonna have to figure it out one way or the other.
There's a lot there. There are a lot of moving parts, and yeah, our infrastructure is old. Water lines, sewer lines. I mean, God, yeah, a lot of the Portland Water District water lines are. I mean, we were during COVID and the ARPA money that came down in Cape. I replaced 2 water lines that were, one was over 100 years old.
Wow.
And the inside of it looked like the end of your pinky. So
God.
replacing that water line, they felt like they just all of a sudden hit a geyser. So their water pressure changed that much. So pretty interesting how. But yeah, that's there's a lot more there than. And I think folks are starting to have a sober look at it in Augusta as to saying, okay, this is great in theory, but in practice, there are a lot of other, I guess you could say, allocated systems that need to also track with that.
So hopefully the short answer is no, they're not rolling that into our ratepayer increases yet, because we don't know if it's actually going to continue
No, for
on
us
this
now,
current track.
yeah, at this side of it, with what we're looking at here on the rate increase, this is really for known users and infrastructure needs that we have in the present to maintain where we're at. A lot of it's status quo, as well as upgrades that have been planned even prior to 1829 coming on board. So that, and the other side of it is all of this cost is borne by the ratepayers. So that the municipality doesn't have, we don't have a ticket assigned to it. We're the vehicle by which they set the rates and they have to pay their bills.
Thank you. So more to come. I take a motion unless.
I'll give you a motion. Bob, do you want to take it?
Oh,
I feel like I've just been
No,
stealing
no.
from you all night.
You're the motion woman.
You're
Bob-
the
Bob
vice
can
chair,
have the
that's your
second.
job.
No, I'm not vice chair.
Mike is vice chair.
Mike
That's
is
right. Okay. Well, anyways, you go first.
You were vice chair.
I move to set a public hearing date of March 23rd to set sewer fees. Sewer
Second.
use fees.
All right, is there any discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Unanimous, Brenda. All right. New business. Counselor Mahalik, what do you have going on?
Do we want to touch on the the budget workshops before I go into mine? On the agenda here,
Oh, like setting the
for the
schedule?
people at home?
Oh,
Did it-
I was gonna have the budget,
Oh,
the finance
oh,
chair cover that.
I'm sorry, I thought like that
I
should go
mean-
before me, so.
Trying to usurp her power?
No, I just wanted that to
Okay.
go before me. I thought that was more important.
No,
You guys making Jeff actually feel bad. Stop that.
no. Go for it, Jeff.
Okay, so, food pantry.
Thank you, sir.
And then, couple things, I drove Greeley Road on Saturday.
Oh, God.
And I got to about the railroad tracks and I decided I'd turn around and I'd start taking some pictures of Greeley Road.
Good.
So I got a whole bunch of them.
You make us a
Like
collage.
the moon.
I'm making a PowerPoint that I'm not kidding, that I'm gonna share with you folks.
Can't wait.
I feel the pain.
But I know we talked about Greeley Road and Bruce Hill Water. We've talked about it a couple of times throughout, the year. And, we're in budget season. I'm really happy we're at a 3%, but I'm just wondering if we can find a way to do the engineering on those two projects during fiscal year 2027 and still be within or close. If we're at 3.0001 or something, I'm pretty sure the town's gonna be all right with it if we can start to plan for Greeley Road. So I wanted to bring that up for council discussion and, if we need to make it an item for next meeting or whatever, a more formal discussion, we can, but, I just felt like those two things should get raised while we're in this period of time, so. If anyone, I got a couple other things, but if anyone wants to comment on that.
Matt, can TIF cover the engineering aspect of things? Or if it is able to cover, part or all of, Greeley Road extent, redo or anything like that, or Bruce Hill Water or anything?
Or both.
Is it only that it's the physical infrastructure that it covers?
Well, I think, excuse me, talking with Chris about Greeley Road specifically and Doug Reynolds, who's our engineer, who does a lot of work for us on that, excuse me. And during capital, I think we may have a bigger plan for council to consider regarding that, because a lot of the engineering, we may be close to having already completed just on some work that we've done. So we may come back and say to the council, you may want to think about either possibly bonding that or investing or looking at different ways to do that over the coming, over like the next 2-year cycle. So we may, I guess it's more of an item to come where we're at. I don't think TIF pays for that construction of it, but I think we may try to find a way to look at it from a lower cost. I don't mean lower cost of the project, but lower cost of the town by spreading it over a number of years, if you look at that from a bonding side. So we may have a recommendation ready by the time we get to the capital side of it, on discussions on the budget, for council to consider and see what those fiscal impacts may be to the overall rate.
Where do you think, if you had to guess, Matt, we'd be to have a plan that's, bid ready, so to say, $100,000 or?
At most.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that work's done. It may be a question of getting in and doing some test borings and seeing what we have and where you need to do box cuts
Yep.
and figure out the extent of it. If we wanted to pave it this year, it probably cost us about 500, 600K.
Yeah.
Just to, as you'd like to say, Councilman Mahalik, put some lipstick on a pig. And then we're coming back and having that discussion in 5 years because the pressure of the frost thaw cycle has done it. So we're looking at trying to look at a more of a comprehensive approach and saying, okay, if we can do that, we know paving's gonna be this amount of dollars and construction's gonna be here. We may find that we can come forward with a recommendation to jump into it now.
I mean, it's like when we did Blanchard Road in 2002. I mean, it was a lot of money, but, you know, we haven't really done anything from the Blanchard Road, from the fairgrounds to Main Street. And I mean, that's what happens when you reconstruct a road versus if we just pave over it, all the sins are gonna come back. I mean, it's,
Yeah, we've got paving lined up for Blanchard Road this summer too.
yeah.
To do that from the fairgrounds to town center, because
Yeah.
there's the areas that have just, you know, where it shed some surface. So we've got that. Range Road's another example of that. You know, it was a wild time riding on that for a number of years until the town basically went in there with, you know, hammer and tong and changed the whole complexion of that road. So similar type of event here.
Yeah.
But we'll have that, we'll definitely have something ready for a discussion that's a little bit, much further along than where we have been
Sure.
in time for the capital.
I mean, unless there's 6 people here, there are 5 people here that's against the whole idea, and then I'll stop bringing it up, but,
No, I mean, I would also like Bruce, I would like to, Bruce Hill Water, really important to me too. I would really love, I find it insane that, I just think it's bonkers that they don't have water. Anyway, so I would love to, I don't know if there's other people that would, I know Portland Water District has to be involved. I know it's not an easy thing, but if some kind of update or what it would look like or what our next steps would be, I would love to see some kind of plan.
And we are working on that as well, looking at that one may be a 2-year type of thing versus a 1-year thing with Greeley Road, but both can be done. It's just a question of just kind of stacking it or sequencing it, I guess, would be a better way to look at it.
The only thing I'll say, I'm definitely in support of it, but one thing, and this, I don't, of both, but one thing, and I don't want to be a poo-pooer, but something to just think about is like last year we had started with a good budget, right? And then we ended up having not the overage, but the higher increase than we anticipated. And then we're also stacking 3% on that. So it's like, just trying to be cognizant of really only doing what's necessary. I think it's really our responsibility until we have some sort of like windfall, like in the case of like the Lucas Tree coming on. Like I would be gung-ho to make sure that's offsetting whatever this cost would be. But I just want to be cognizant of like the 3% optically is a great thing, but also we were a little bit over last year. I don't want to make it a negative, but I think we need to be cognizant of the fact that it isn't just 3%, right? Like it's bigger than that. So
no, just, I mean, all I'm trying to do is get a plan that's on the shelf, so to say.
Totally, yeah.
So that, you know, if there's federal stimulus dollars or whatever that opens up, like,
Yeah.
we can apply for
Yes.
something other than paving, because if we don't have a plan, we can't apply, right, Matt? Or,
Yeah, we're looking to have it shovel ready, because right now we wouldn't go out to bid for that anyhow, because we'd get hammered on pricing.
Yeah.
Because, you know, a lot of they're building their book of business for the coming year. Same reason why we went out in October to look at the work that we're having done on Route 100 by J Brothers and Lower Methodist, and we timed that one real nice. We're looking at the same type of thing, so if you look at that and say, okay, if we have our, you know, everything kind of lined up and ready, then you could look at that in the fall or late fall, early winter to go out for RFP and then get some bids on that and then have that in line and ready for council discussion for fiscal year 28.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, you know, but if we know that there's positive momentum on some of these, we can get basically the work ready
Yeah.
during the year and then turn tables real quick and be ready to take advantage of it if there are funds available, if there's MDOT money for the roads, or if there's, you know, there's different areas, as Councilman Halleck said, if they're like the ARPA funds that no one was really expecting, you know, back in 20. So I think it kind of gets us ready and primed for any opportunities to strike fast.
all right, and then the last thing I had was just, you know, we've talked about road standards at some point, like after we get to the budget, like to get back to that. And then, you know, maybe we just talk more about long-term capital planning as well. I think we got great finances, but it just comes down to visibility for the citizens of what it is. And, you know, I want to get through this budget year, but I'm going to be a broken record for the next 12 months, so, but, and that's all I got, so.
I have a bunch of stuff, but I feel like Bob's gonna cover some of it, and then I don't wanna like
Would you like
talk
to have
about
Bob
library
go
stuff.
first?
Yeah. and
Bob, would
then-
you mind going first?
Not at all. So we jumped right into the budget this evening, and I had hoped would take it just a little bit slower on from the first couple of pages there. Our debt service is a significant part of our budget. It's 7% of our budget. It's $1.2 million a year. And we talk about planning, and I think planning is prudent and finding out what costs are. I think also what we, next finance committee meeting, next budget meeting, I'd like to drill down into that debt service and well, how much of that is short-term, how much of it is long-term, and so we have a better idea of how that money is being paid off. You know, when you don't have any debt, you can say, all right, now's the time to borrow. If we're looking at that $1.2 million and it's 20 more years, that's a significant cost. But if it's going to be paid off in 3 years, and say, okay, then I'm ready to bond something, and I think that's how we pay for projects is bonding. And I'll go back to affordable housing, which we haven't talked about, but perhaps we'll get back to that. An affordable housing project with a public bond properly planned and executed is not really costing the taxpayer. Even though it's a public bond, it's paid for by revenue streams. So that's another way of looking at, you know, what is the cost of a community? All right, we borrow money, but it's like any business, they buy capital equipment. I'm gonna buy a new excavator, but I have this business backed up that requires the use of that excavator, and I'm gonna bill it out, so it's not a cost to my business. So I think if we just take a minute and look at our debt service, I think we'll have a better idea of, you know, but I'm not putting the brakes on the planning part. I just want to take a look at that. The only really thing that I had this evening was the joint meeting that we had with Falmouth, Yarmouth, North Yarmouth, and Freeport was included virtually. They were followed up. They weren't there personally, but out of that, I'm gonna read to you what the goals. And I'm not sure that you've received this letter yet, but
Nope.
anyways, I think it's important enough that we all hear it. For some time now, the town managers and a group of electeds from Yarmouth, North Yarmouth, Falmouth, Cumberland have been meeting periodically to discuss regionalization opportunities. At the last meeting with town managers present, they asked the electeds to meet on their own to identify areas where they should focus their efforts. The electeds have met a couple of times, and we brought in Freeport. So, Sophie, welcome to the conversation. We started by identifying why we support municipal regionalization efforts to justify the work not only to ourselves but to our constituents. Explore economies of scale, address regional issues, share best practices across municipalities, share available incoming staff, reduce competition, demonstrate creative problem solving for efficiency's effectiveness, reduce duplicate or inefficient spending to prevent runaway tax increases. Next, we focus on what could be regionalized. We recognize that these are low-hanging fruit and that while some towns have already regionalized this work or are considering doing so, some regionalized ideas may not work for everyone. Our intent here is to respond to our request for direction by giving you a clear signal that this is the direction we want our towns to move in. Dispatch. Looking at joining the County Dispatch Center for Savings, Mutual Aid, and Mutual Safety. North Yarmouth is already participating. Harbor Masters for towns whose needs and current capacity are currently mismatched. Software licenses. Before purchasing new software, our municipality should be asking the county and other municipalities what they're using, if they can add more licenses into our contracts at a lower cost than our purchasing standalone licensing. Staffing, institutionalized shared training, backfilling to keep operations running smoothly without increasing hiring on the margins, increase employee opportunities for advancement within the regions. Specialized staffing equipment needs. Where towns have occasional needs for specialty skills or equipment, town staff should collaborate on joint purchases and shared employees. Examples, Town A needs someone who's licensed to apply herbicide or invasive species for 3 work days a year. Town B has a licensed employee. Rather than Town A hiring outside the company, the two towns agreed on a fair rate for in-kind barter for Town B to lend out the employee. And a couple more examples. Invasive masters, communication staff, webmaster, written and video communication, municipal TV, streaming of public meetings, shared positions where appropriate, especially to create capacity for smaller towns. So anyways, lots of productive ideas. Again, we all know that the elephant in the room is the school districts, and I think what the end goal here is that by the municipal staffs, municipal elected officials showing leadership, we can draw the schools in and create a broader-based working group of shared ideas, shared outcomes and goals. Taxes aren't going down, so it was a well-attended meeting and well thought out.
That's awesome.
I
Thanks for
look forward to getting
continuing
the
push
letter.
that.
I just want to say a special thank you for including the invasives, the shared workers, the sprayers, and also, I think I've said this a million times, but Paul Larrabee from New Gloucester, who's our town forester, would be willing to get involved in a lot of that regional sharing of resources.
So one of the questions came up from the representative from North Yarmouth about what examples that county regionalization's efforts could be, and so I brought up the idea, or not the idea, but the concern with people who live on the Royal River estuary, and that encompasses New Gloucester, North Yarmouth, so, and those areas, I think that's where the county needs to step up and say, these are areas that we can lead.
Anything else, Bob? Denise?
All right. Yeah, it was a great meeting. I was glad I attended. Some additional things that were discussed as far as kind of soliciting the county to kind of lead on training. One of them was municipal AI training for employees, like if the county can host, like an AI training event geared toward municipal employees and how they could use it to improve their workload, but not give themselves one more thing to babysit, because I know that's what that can turn into really quickly. So that was thrown around. Also, the idea of like a municipal library of things for equipment, like a wood chipper, perhaps, if one town, has a after storm cleanup kind of situation. Yes, invasives, yes, staff, so we're not poaching each other. And another thing we talked about were revals, and Yarmouth shared their experience of going a while without having a reval and having done it, seeing that, the third thing, it does not apply when you've gone a long time and, everything has gone up, sale prices and valuation, especially if you're going by real estate market to gauge that. Not to be alarmist, but I think the figure was something like 60% of households saw some sort of increase, some only like 5%, but there will be increases. So, to Bailey's point about keeping an eye on the whole situation and everything, whenever we get to the TIF section at the very end of our budget, I would like to discuss whether or not we have room in this next year's budget to throttle anything into the general fund, because 3% is great, but if we can get it even lower, that'd be fantastic. If we have stuff sitting around in there that we're not using, and looking at our end balance, we have, quite a bit of fund balance left over for the projects that are currently allocated, which we will have more, I know that, but we can throttle, so let's do it if we don't have anything else set aside for that already in this coming year. We also talked about active vote quite a lot because some reps had gone to the Rue Institute to do some municipal thing. I don't remember what it was called, sorry. Something about innovation or something like that. And there was a representative from Active Vote there talking about it. And we had mentioned that we've actually been using it. And we had discussed whether the county would be perhaps willing to kind of be like an Active Vote provider, perhaps for shared stuff for multiple towns.
Do you mean flash vote?
Flash vote, yes. Why did I say that? Flash vote, sorry.
Just wanted
Other
to-
thing.
Just wanted to clarify.
ActiveVote is a website where you can go to learn about candidates.
We have ActiveNet for the rec program too.
Yeah, flash vote. Okay, so, but the main thing with that is we described kind of what it's like, but unfortunately, we couldn't answer a lot of questions about what value it's giving us because so far, I don't know if any of us have seen any results from our flash votes, and I want to know where it's going, like how it's going, if that's something that we are expected to have, if it is part of some greater thing. But basically, I think GPCOG as well wants to know more about people who are using flash vote, like what's your experience? But so far, we just don't have that data. And so, yeah, I guess that's my question for you, Matt, is what have the results been? Are those supposed to be publicly shown on the town website? Kind of what value are we getting from it? And additionally, there was a question of how much do municipalities expect to pay for it annually? And I could not find it perusing our like tech and licensing budget or not to know what that cost is. But those are questions kind of floating around among the different towns reps. So it'd be helpful if we have that information.
Sure.
perhaps.
Yeah, I could have Whitney talk about it too at the next council meeting.
Okay.
That might be helpful, and we kind of circle back on that under the budget conversation too.
Yeah. Okay. And then, yeah, the preliminary schedule for the next regionalization meeting is on the 24th of this month, which it kind of hinges on getting some feedback from the town managers and the county and that kind of thing. But I'll probably go, but
What
someone else
time
should
and
go
where?
too. 4 p.m. Tuesday the 24th, and I think it was just same in Yarmouth, right? Yarmouth, like, community room.
Yep.
And then I'm sure someone is gonna talk about the candidate information thing. Okay, I will be there on Wednesday, maybe Thursday, I don't know yet.
Great.
So, yeah, see you there, whoever's coming.
I'll be there Wednesday night too.
All right, cool.
Bailey?
Oh, one question. Well, a couple things. Have we heard anything about the dock at Broad Cove? I know we applied for a grant there.
Nope, I'm just kidding.
No.
No, there's a lot of movement in play. We have received our grant.
Ooh.
You'll probably have something fairly soon because we need to do public outreach as part of the whole permitting of it.
Okay.
It's also in capital
Okay.
for this year as well, and so we'll have that as part of that whole discussion. So we have it lined up to have that work done this year. We're looking at probably starting, we're gonna have to have a public outreach session, and then I think we're looking at doing that in August, and then getting construction started in the fall, and then have deployment for next spring in time for the 27 summer season.
Okay. And then just a reminder about upcoming budget workshops at 5 p.m. One's next Monday, the 16th, March 23rd, March 30th, April 6th, April 27th. And then May 11th, the public hearing for the FY27 municipal budget will be at 7 p.m. That's it for me.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Bob, you had mentioned wanting to go over debt service next meeting. That's like a whole section in the budget. I don't know if you want to wait till then, or if we do want to do that next meeting. What do you
Debt
think?
service,
Yeah.
to go over it during the budget meeting?
Yeah, well, because I think Bob had asked if we could do it next time we meet. Is that what you said?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think the 16th, you want to do it on then?
Well, I don't know. It's over here, so I didn't know if we were going in order or not, or if we wanted to
Oh,
skip
I see.
ahead
Yeah,
so we
it's-
can
it's
cover
like-
Bob's.
20 departments
discussion.
down.
We can take it in order.
Yeah.
My guess is you may get to that at your next,
Yeah.
Oh, you think?
well, because you got through fire and police tonight, and those are huge lifts. And Public Works is the, Public Works and solid waste are the next really big lifts. And then from there, you do pick up a lot of speed.
Ooh. It's a lot faster than last year, probably because I'm not asking so many questions.
We
Also,
started out a
these-
lot higher than we did
These
this year,
graphics
too.
are quite useful. And the pie charts, I appreciate it.
I don't appreciate the pie charts.
I know, I thought of you when I saw that. I'm like, Andrew likes a different chart format.
The other charts, yes. The pie charts, no.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Andrew.
Tomorrow at 5:30, right here in Council Chambers, the Parks and Rec Advisory Board will have this meeting. And I think that's pretty much it from me.
What's on their agenda?
A lot of it is the Twimbrook plan. That's
Alright.
gonna be the I think the vast majority of it.
Yeah, talking to Pete today, that's the primary drive now for a while. It's gonna be to
Yeah,
get that- get
updates
some inertia.
and then the agenda, or the advisory plan. Yeah, advisory plan.
Okay.
It's all indented.
Indentated.
That's,
In
indentured is a different thing.
Yeah, let's not go into indentured servitude, please.
Send Andrew into indentured services.
Okay, cool beans. So yes, nomination papers are available. So just to give folks a summary of the lay of the land. So for the town council, there's one at-large, one center. For MSAD 51, there are 2 seats. And for the Portland Water District, there's a 1-year, 5-year term. Maybe I should run for that so we can get Bruce Hill some friggin' water. Just to let you all know, so the nomination papers are due back on April 9th at 6 o'clock here at Town Hall. And then the library is hosting two sessions for residents who may be interested in throwing their hat in the ring for any of these positions. So the first is March 11th, Wednesday, March 11th from 5:30 to 6:30 at the Prince Memorial Library. The second is on Thursday, March 12th from 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. I believe we have several counselors who are going to be represented at both sessions. I think Counselor Mahalik is going to be there with me on Wednesday, maybe Counselor Thorson.
On Wednesday, maybe Thursday morning, but I don't know.
Well,
That's my coffee time, so we'll see. I'll have to bring it
Just
with
make
me.
sure you're not cranky when you talk to people about how wonderful it is to run for office.
Cranky all the time, but I will try to
I believe
be fake
Peter
for
Bingham Sr. is going to be there to talk about it since he has been on the planning board, town council, and the school board, so he can tell us all the things. But if anyone else wants to be there, that would be wonderful. And there will be representation from the school board as well. I don't know if there's going to be anyone from the Portland Water District, but we'll see. And I think, the last thing, I had the opportunity to participate in Read Across America along with some other town staff members.
You know how to read?
I know, I do know how to read, but had the pleasure alongside some staff at Prince Memorial Library, as well as Captain Coe, I think also read to the 5th graders. It was a great time, great program, really nice to see kind of the kiddies, which we don't get to see that much, but I love the intersection of town government and students. And one day we should get a rep. I think we should try to look for a rep long-term from the Greeley High School with the way that the school board has student reps. I think it would be cool. And I think Councilor Douglas has brought this up before, to see if there's ever any interest in having a student learn, if they wanted to, learn about local government, and we could have a council rep. I think that would be cool. Maybe not, I don't know, but just thoughts out there.
I think we have to frame it like young person in the community.
like
under
elementary school.
18.
I feel like we should have. Just kidding.
And long-term, having people interested in public service. It's, aren't there a lot of town manager positions opening up, right?
non-eligible.
There's like 6 right now, but
We gotta make
can
sure
take
the
my
pipeline-
pick.
it's-
We'll say
civic
combat
engagement is a
pay
good
or-
I have
thing.
no degree.
there's mostly combat pay on some of those. That's what they pay.
That's it for me, and I think we just need a,
Motion?
I have a question first before we do that. Did I see for real on the town website that we have a meet the candidates from 6 to 8 p.m. on Tuesday, May 5th?
yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah. I saw that.
Yeah, we wanted to get the date and time out before anybody took papers so they can know that they can,
So it'll be
If they
in
cer-
person this time.
yes.
Excellent.
And we have Kelly Greeley from the library is going to be helping moderate.
Moderate? Excellent.
'Cause she's awesome. She does a great job with that.
She definitely knows how to read, so,
She does?
yeah.
Prepare yourselves, people. Answer those questions.
Is there a motion to,
I move to recess to executive session.
Second.
all those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, everybody at home, for tuning in.
Bye.
I'll go close the door.
Lock it down, Jeff.
How long?